Hey guys, this is Hito Retro Gaming. We are online right now. I know it doesn't look it because new bear technology. We found this crashing through the cave last I checked, but let's get this started, shall we? Blam. Hey guys, welcome to the Retrogade. It's your bear boy host Hito today, and today we are going to be going into the retro bomb of a lot of things today, including some very childhood memories of various toys we used to have when we were kids. So, let's get that podcast host bow tie in check. Let's get over here and boom. So, today we're going to go over 90s toys today. Things like Hot Wheels, Barbie, My Little Pony, Cabbage Patch Kids, key cars, you name it. We're going to keep going into a lot of these things today, and I hope you guys will enjoy some of the stuff we have. Let's see if any of the commercials we bring up today will probably remind you of everything, because I just recently saw a Light Bright commercial and I lost my mind. But anyway, I'm going to introduce our first guest. And our first guest in camera B, which if this thing is working correctly, if it is its real name, there we go. Correction. We fix things. Our first guest today is Super Murgatroyd, and I have you on now. So, Super Murgatroyd, tell us a little bit about yourself.
A passion for people, a passion for positivity, and a passion for
Oh,
personal growth.
say that again because apparently sound was acting screwy. We got it fixed.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll just do the tail end. My name is Super Murgatroyd. My community is called the Super Crew community. We have a passion for people, for positivity, and for personal growth. So I'm actually a life coach and a Twitch coach. And so we offer that as services completely free to help people to grow either in the personal life or within Twitch. The whole goal is just to increase everybody's quality of life and we all grow together.
Awesome. All right. And where can we find you? Where can we
Um,
find you?
you can find me in Twitch. I do have an Instagram, but I don't use it that much. So mostly Twitter. Twitter is the big place where you can find me.
Got it. All right. And I boosted the microphone up even higher for Super. I just boosted you up a little bit.
Sweet. Ooh, I felt that. I felt that. That was good.
All right. Our second guest is a really cool. Oh, thank you for the follow. And I knew I forgot to do something. I have to turn the alert sounds off.
Now I have a question to say.
No worries on that.
What's your favorite retro game? I hope you enjoy your cozy stay.
All right. So, thank you so much, Big Drew, for the follow. I appreciate you being here today. Thanks for joining us. Our second guest today is another cool friend of mine, another awesome streamer, and probably plays some of the most obscure games that I love, because some of those obscure games I've actually played as a child sometimes. But welcoming to the stage, CTK Plays.
Hi there.
Hey, so tell us a little bit about yourself.
So yeah, my name is CTK, also nicknamed Corey. I tend to play a lot of like bizarre games. You know, games that you usually grew up and you're wondering like, did this guy play it? Did this person play it? Like that one person usually was me. I tend to like a lot of platformers, puzzle. I was a huge rhythm gamer. Um, I like a lot. I treat my stuff more in the form of like a sitcom because I very much act like a sitcom character. I'm very clumsy. I tend to fall and do a lot of stupid stuff, and I play up the jokes. I even have a laugh track, for when stupid moments happen. And I just, I just learned to embrace it. It's just part of that CTK charm.
All right, and where can we find you, CTK?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, just CTK Plays, and then on TikTok, which I just made about 2 months ago, and I've been making videos there. CTK Plays 90s.
Yep. All right. So, guys, I'm gonna ask. So, we're gonna be talking about 90s toys today, and let's see if, well, not just 90s toys, but technically toys that translated well in the 90s. Technically, most of these toys are actually from the 80s and 70s, like Barbies and Hot Wheels. They came from an even earlier generation than just the 90s. So, we're gonna talk about a lot of toys. Probably some of those old-time Milton Bradley board games, including the fact that for some reason Milton Bradley decided to promote a Ouija board, making witches of the century, people.
We got a lot. No, trust me, there were a lot of weird, 90s toys that you're just like, who? Did kids really play this? They're like, yeah, because that's just all you had. It's like you just go and you look at the store and you're like, oh, I want this game. I'm like, huh? Why is this part of my collection? It's just it's just because you grew up with it.
I'd be interested to see like the actual commercial of like, hey kids, let's go summon some spirits. Like, yeah, and they all like, no, I want to touch it first. Like, I want to summon the first spirit. Let's summon my dead father. Like, it all sounds very, very uncomfortable.
Oh my god. Wait, I wonder, there should be a commercial for that. There actually should be a commercial for the Ouija boards. Because I believe that they did something like, oh, yep, there's an original Parker Brothers Ouija board commercial on the feed. Yeah. If y'all want to see this, that we can do this right now. It's right here. It's a scary thought, but okay. All right, listen.
This is raw.
This is one of the things that they had. I'm just like, okay, well, we were a little bit on the pagan side already. I knew it. This is why I like things like this. It's gonna happen. I knew it was gonna happen, and now we're gonna bring out the inner witch in us. For 5-year-olds, it's fine. For 5-year-olds, it's okay. Let's put on the intranet.
Oh, this
Hi, I'm
is
Kip
gorgeous.
Parker. And I'm Charlie Parker. And we're the Parker Brothers. Hey, Charlie, what's missing from our game catalog? I don't know, Kip. Tell me. Well, you can't talk to the dead. You sure as hell can. That's why we got this brand new game called Ouija. Ouija? Well, break that down for me. Well, it's Wii because you're having a great time, and G, it's because G, aren't you having a blast because you're having a good time with the Wii. It looks like it spelled like a Chinaman got caught in there. Don't question it. Well, Ouija, Kip, tell me about it. Well, inside the package comes a flat board with all the letters of the alphabet.
Literally.
From 0 to 9.
I don't think so.
Written out by itself. Well,
I think I got trolled.
Going on. That's got a lot of
I think
Sounds a little bit like a spoof, but I'm down.
I'm
gonna say, because this is the
Oh no! This is the original radio commercial for the Parker Brothers.
Move your hands in the direction of the
This was on the radio.
Sounds like a heck of a way to find
That
grandma's
makes
slave
more
money. Turns out it was in the attic. But the questions don't have to be as serious as slavery. You can also find out if Sally's got a crush on you.
This is actually in the 1920s.
Trivial questions. Feels like they'd have better things to do with their time, Kip. No, lots of...
Actually, I'm gonna stop right there because it's the 1920s, and obviously it did not age well. It obviously did not age well, but we also do have the original 1991 Ouija board game right here.
Yes, that's the, yeah.
This is the one.
You're moving it. You're moving it. Would you just quiet? I'm trying to concentrate here, and I'm not moving it. You're moving it.
We're not moving. That's the whole premise of the Ouija board. Just you're not moving it.
I do have a question though. Like the way these kids are using this Ouija board, it's like you could use it to bring back a dead prayer. No. Will I go shopping? Can I go to the mall? Can I go to the concert? Like,
Will I be tall enough to drink? That's the moment where like all of a sudden you just hear no, and they're like, what?
I actually would like to do that to my child if I ever catch them playing with a Ouija board in the future. If I ever have a child and they're like, will I actually grow tall? I'm just like behind them, earshot. No.
Hito like puts a you put a walkie-talkie into the wall and you plaster over it just so that way one day you'll be able to turn on your and be like, hello children.
There's also the one
summoned me.
There's also the one that was trademarked towards girl sleepovers, which I'll get into that also too. There was a lot of toys for the girl sleepover trope.
It's just a game, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Parker Brothers kind of fun.
Like legitimately, just they were very quick, and they were smart to make these commercials only like 16 seconds long because they can't go into details. They can't.
Yeah, like it, and it never really touches base with anything. Like, hey, why don't you ask the dead? It's like, what? It's such a weird, man. And it's these kids just sitting around. They're like, "What do you do on a Friday the 13th?" Well, I don't know. Let's bust out the fun old game. Oh, it's right underneath the Sorry and Monopoly games.
Now, here's something that actually I think probably most people will remember, and these things will be all over the place, and they'll become mess. It'll become a mess. It'll be crazy. But we have the old timey Pogs commercial. These things. Oh. Oh, the video's not showing. Hold on a sec. The video is not showing, which is weird. Hold on a sec.
Hito, this just means you're just gonna have to make your own commercials.
I know. Just
Yeah, you'll have to dance to it.
Self-replicate all 30-second commercials, just you playing with the toys and be like, oh man,
Just-
I'm having so much fun.
Oh my-
Buy it now in stores at Toys R Us.
oh my god, Pogs, guys. Like, for real.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pogs are still amazing. You know, like a lot of people like I've literally encountered 3 people that like, you know, like past 2000s. They're like, what are Pogs? I'm like, Pogs are these little things that you used to slam on the ground and then they'd flip over and you'd have like different different cartoons and like it's basically just it's kind of like the equivalent of what like would be marbles essentially.
That
where
was
you're
it.
hitting a marble. Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that
yeah.
was
Just,
that
like,
was the
you're
next step in schoolyard schoolyard collectible evolution. It was literally like marbles, and then Pog was the next thing that you would collect and you would win and you would lose in the schoolyard. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a game. I remember it was like you would bet the amount of pogs that you had like against somebody else's pogs.
Yeah.
And every time you flipped every time a pog flipped over that I think was like on the front, that meant that person could claim the pogs. That's now their collection.
All right, I got the
There we
feed
go.
working. There we go.
Okay.
Can we just talk about the fact that they took bird as the word and replaced it with Pogs?
Yeah.
Here we go.
I actually never played Pog either.
I never got the chance to. I just collected them.
I used to have a collection of them. Like I had a case for it.
Yeah.
Because my brothers, when my brothers got into it, I remember asking my mom, well, now I want to get into it. Give me some Pogs. And my mom was like, well, we got to get you into it because now your brother's into it.
Yeah.
I just remember the one thing that I remember with Pogs, they were very violent. Like people would like you would not like
It was aggressive.
Like, smack the Pogs on the floor. It's like literally like you were like hurling like you were hurling a meteor at somebody and it's just like everything falls over.
See, I went right from marbles into, and maybe I don't know. Tell me if you did this. Well, we went right from marbles and we skipped Pogs and we went into hockey cards. So we had these hockey cards, and you would find this brick wall, right? And then what you'd take the cards and you'd like put them in between 2 fingers, you'd flick them, and you tried to get them in the corner of the wall standing upright. And if you got it standing upright, then you won all the cards that had not like gone upright.
Wow.
So you literally just take turns with both of you in your collection. You'd be flicking them, and then the first person to get it to sit upright, leaning up against the wall, would get all the fallen cards. Like we went right for that. Yeah.
That will definitely do a lot. We used to do something like that with Pokemon cards too. I was big on Pokemon cards, so we used to do something like that because we saw the kids doing it with the baseball cards, and we were like,
Yeah.
that looks cool. Maybe we should try that, but with Pokemon cards. And then we realized later that we should have never done that because they are expensive. They're expensive.
They're very expensive. Well, these cards you could get, like, they were at Esso stations and things like that. Like, they were giving away hockey cards all over the place in Canada. I don't know what it was like in the U.S., but they were pretty easy to get here.
All right, I got another one. I got another one for you.
They did make a Simpsons commercial.
Yeah.
They had a moment in Simpsons where Milhouse like takes out his Pogs and goes, "Here, Alf Pogs. Remember Alf? He's back in Pog form."
Yeah.
All right, guys. Here's another one that might actually remind you guys of things.
The Great American Tune-In is brought to you by Light Bright. Turn on the magic of colored lights.
Oh my
Light
God,
Bright
Light
from
Bright.
Bradley.
Light bright, light bright.
Light bright, light bright, turn on the magic of colored lights. Light bright, make a face to glow at night.
Just pop in the colored pegs and follow the patterns. It's easy to make beautiful pictures with Light Bright. Or create your favorite characters with Light Bright refills, like Disney's Beauty and the Beast, Tailspin, and The Little Mermaid.
Light bright, turn on the magic of shining.
How do we not have that anymore?
Light Bright from Milton
How is
Bradley.
that still not a thing? It's literally just a light behind a pegboard, and you put these different color pegs inside it. I mean, it's the same, pixelation as Minecraft. Like, how is this not still something that we use? Like,
I think it's just because kids use their phones now. It's just like, why would I want to, why would I want to put a bunch of like little pegs on a white thing when I could literally just do it on my phone and just make
That's
something
true.
random?
Speaking of
and
which,
plus,
Yeah, they
probably
do
poke
still
on them.
sell it in Target.
yeah, Mike actually brought that up. Like they still sell it at a local Target, so we
Wow.
could still get them, probably, perhaps, maybe. Now, here's a game that I think most people remember, and it's the most convoluted one because of everything that it took to just put this together. But who remembers Mousetrap?
That was the most elaborate game ever.
I guarantee it's the craziest trap you'll ever see. The first to capture everyone else's mouse is the winner. Just turn the crank and snap the plank and boot the marble right down the chute. Now watch it roll and hit the pole and knock the ball in the rubber duck tub, which fits the man into the pan. The trap is set. Here comes the net. Ouch! Mouse trap. I guarantee it's the craziest trap you'll ever see. I knew you were a winner. Mouse trap from Milton Bradley.
The downside is it took a half an hour to set up every time
Yeah.
you wanted to play the game, and then you had to take all the pieces down. And if for some reason you were not accurate, you left a piece behind, it would mean that you would never be able to set up that 15-piece Rube Goldberg machine again. You know what I mean? Like,
I think there's only been one time that I actually did play Mousetrap because my cousins had it, and I remember like they were like setting it up. I'm like, I don't have the patience for this. You gotta connect all this stuff together, and then you literally do all this just to watch the ball go down, and then you gotta do it all over and take it all apart. I'm like, although I did have a game similar to that one. I don't know if you want to find 13 Dead End Drive.
13.
It was a yes.
Oh,
It
there we
was
go. Commercial.
Yeah, it was yeah. You'll see it from the commercial.
All right, so here's the commercial right here. Boom. See what we got.
See you later, Chef. The game's 13 Dead End Drive, where you can get rich by accident. It's nighty night for the hairdresser. Someone will inherit a fortune, but everyone's dying to bump you off. A little trick for the fortune teller. First out of 13 Dead End Drive, while their picture is above the mantle, wins. Lights out for the boyfriend. The fun's alive with 13 Dead End Drive.
Oh my God,
that's
yeah. It was basically
that's dark.
It was basically it was like a woman leaves her, like a woman leaves her inheritance, and whoever is shown up at the front of like the mansion, all the players have to go after them and kill them, and they have to take them out one by one until remaining person has the inheritance.
This is basically the murder mystery I'm playing. Oh my God, this is bad. This is the murder mystery I'm playing.
It's like a combination of Clue and How to Get Away with Murder. You know that TV show, How to Get Away with Murder? It's like literally, we want you to kill everybody.
Guys, don't worry. Viola Davis was the rebranded of 13 Dead End Drive, so it's fine.
Yeah.
She's the third thing. But who remembers the Sorry commercials?
Oh yeah.
For the board game Sorry, because this was when things got ridiculous. It was a 15-second commercial, but they're like,
Sorry. It's the game of sorry. First you're way ahead, then you get bumped way back. So shake a leg and you'll get home first. The game of sorry.
they look so
Hey,
weird.
That game divided friendships. I'm just saying right now. If you actually said the word sorry as you knock someone all the way back to the beginning, it was like you instantly created the division in your friendship, right? Oh,
Oh
so
my god.
sorry.
Now who remembers these? These are what really got me laughing.
Soccer bopper, soccer bopper. You can sock all day and bop all night.
We need
Soccer
those.
bopper, soccer bopper. More fun than a pillow fight. Blow 'em up, put your hand inside, get ready to have
More fun than a pillow fight.
Soccer bopper, sock 'em once and bop 'em twice. Soccer bopper, soccer bopper.
Soccer Boppers, more fun than the pillow fight by Big Time Toys.
I like how they just try and make this sound innocent, like how conservative they were with the placement of these punches while they were filming for the commercial. Let's be honest. As soon as everybody got these, they were like, it was like all headshots.
Definitely.
My brother. So my mom got my brothers and I all of that. And I just remember there was like one instance where like I ran, like my sock and bopper came off my hand, and so my brothers are just like pummeling me like in the corner. I'm like, no, stop! I surrender. And I'm thinking like, this is why children can't trust anyone.
Now they also came out with this, like this was along the lines of the American Gladiators. You know what I mean? Because they came out with those staffs with the soft, blow up ends as well,
Yeah.
right? So you could like stand on these and hit each other with them, and then you could like blow up these big huge suits that were like not samurai but sumo, the sumo suits.
Wait.
Like it was, yeah. It was all along those lines of how can we beat the crap out of each other where mom and dad will let us, like that. That entire genre.
Nope, that I was looking for it. I was looking for the sumo suits. I cannot find the commercial. Yeah. I just found regular sumo wrestlers just like doing their thing. I'm like, that's not what I'm looking for, but okay. It's fine.
I did remember one thing also that this depends on if you've seen Home Alone 2, The Talk Boy. It was more or less like a cassette.
This, I
yeah.
Oh, hold on, I got you. I actually saw this one recently.
Now you can be as clever as Kevin with Tiger's new Talk Boy tape recorder.
Stop drooling on me. Stop drooling on me.
It even has speed control.
Hi, kids. We're home early.
Hi, kids. We're home early.
Tiger's new Talk Boy tape recorder comes with audio cassette.
Hiya, pal.
Look for Home Alone 2, available now on video.
Wow.
I'm just gonna say that girl is not very bright if she literally can't distinctly tell her own parents' voices apart, that she has to be faked by a talk boy.
Hi kids, we're home early.
That sounds like a horror movie.
Oh, here's another one that you guys might actually remember. With the catchy jingle.
Kids come gather around. See what just skipped into town. So skip it, do run, do jump, do hop.
Yes.
Skip it, skipping and a screaming and a bop to bop. But the very best thing of all, there's a counter on this ball. So try to beat your very best score.
Oh my god, you can count how many times you can spin it around. How brilliant is that?
Skip it. Come on, everybody, skip it.
The best technology ever.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
now
these
it just has a
commercials.
fat foot.
So
It would never fit.
I was actually gonna buy one of those things because I wanted to record a TikTok video for it, but then I realized, oh wait, now I remember how dangerous these things were. Because it's like if you accidentally fall on them, you just fall flat on the ground, and it's like, oh no, I can't. Because I'm 6'3", I can't keep hopping and skipping over and over and over like this thing expects me to.
I mean, they were crazy. We also have the old the other old stuff that they have here as well. For example, who remembers these? I'm gonna write the name down, and you're gonna see this, and then you're gonna remember. These things were kind of creepy.
Furbies.
They were kind of creepy.
They made a comeback recently in a movie.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember I used to get the McDonald's ones.
Oh yeah.
These things used to scare people sometimes too. I don't blame them. They were furry and they would talk like that.
They were scary. I actually had I know this is going a little farther, but I remember there was a one point when the ET was having like its 20th anniversary edition, and they made an ET edition where it was like you can interact with ET and press his hand, and if you put him near Furby, he would talk to Furby. And they would interact and have a conversation with each other. And I used to think like, I used to remember at one point, like there was like, I think it was like one moment at like 2 o'clock in the morning where ET would start going, "I'm hungry," and I'm like, he started like talking, and I'm like, I'm trying to sleep right now, and I can only just imagine if I'm dealing with this with an ET, I can only imagine what a Furby must be like, where the Furby's just randomly going off at like random times of the night, creeping.
Don't feed them after midnight.
Don't feed them after midnight. Ricochet puts. I put mine in the bottom and back of my wardrobe, and it would keep asking for food every now and then. I'm just like, that's a scary thing. You could be sleeping, and he's like, hungry. I'm like,
yeah, no, we wouldn't be friends, me and Furbies. But they did make a comeback in a new movie. I forget who actually did it, but it is like the Mitchells versus robots.
The Mitchells versus Machines, yeah.
Machines,
I watched
or
that.
something like that. Yeah,
They were in the movie, and I was like, oh no, they brought them back as the scary thing they were known for.
There's this big ass, like the father or mother of all the robots, and it's like, oh, I will avenge you, you know, and he shoots lasers. It was intense.
all right. So now, here's another classic that we can go on for a little bit.
Oh my god.
Meet Barbara Ann. She looks like you. And watch.
Now you can pose Cabbage Patch Kids in lots of different ways.
Pose 'em like this, pose 'em like that. Hug your Cabbage Patch Kids and they'll hug you right back.
And they're each different as can be.
Cabbage Patch Kids. Hold that pose. Kind of love.
Xavier Roberts' Cabbage Patch Kids, each sold separately with birth certificate.
With birth certificate, guys. You guys will actually own a child in the 90s when you weren't ready for it, but it's fine.
My grandmother was obsessed with them. Like, she would collect them. There was an entire room in the basement that was literally filled from like floor to ceiling with Cabbage Patch Kids. And for me, those were my Furbies. Like, they were just creepy as hell. You know, when you got like the room with the porcelain dolls, that was me in the room with Cabbage Patch Kids. So yeah, that has a special creepy place in my heart.
Yeah, I mean, those things.
I do actually. No, go ahead.
I don't know, those things actually used to scare me because I think I remember I saw something very creepy. And I remember I saw something very creepy where the Cabbage Patch Kids, they were like zombies. They would just come out of the open field and like, we just want love. And then it just gets to a very dark place. I'm like, no, absolutely not.
And Ricochet, you should totally watch that movie. The Mitchells is an amazing movie. It really is. It's worth it.
It's got the same animation style. I think they're made by the same company who did the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh really? Oh, that would make sense.
That would make the same art style to it. I actually did. I was like looking through my drawer. I'm like, I do have something 90s related.
Oh, here we go.
Muppets.
So you guys are gonna get a kick out of this one. This is a whole playlist of Super Soakers.
Wow.
The new Laramie Super Soaker XP105. Twice the strength of your original Super Soaker. Get to know it, learn to love it. It is your friend, Smith. Hit me with the XP105.
Sarge?
I said hit me! Yeah! Less pumps to power than before. XP Power Gauge shows how much power you're packing. I'm soaking my stuff, and I'm loving it. My turn. Yeah! The new Laramie Super Soaker XP105. Glitter is glitter!
They had a whole bunch of these. They just had a whole bunch of these.
Wetter is better. That was like amazing.
How many takes did it take it without laughing?
I mean, probably about a good 50.
Probably one because if you get wet, that's it. You gotta have to do the whole thing over again.
Yeah, that's true. Dry them off, Larry. Dry them off.
I could see them using like a tanning bed or something to get them dry very quickly. Just something like that. Because we could do that like crazy. Okay, I'm about to show you one of the most disturbing video game commercials ever. and it's ridiculous. The Atari Jaguar commercial.
Oh, is that the handheld?
No. So
no, it's Atari's last system.
Yeah.
Okay.
When like third party.
I try to remember the teacher. It was in a classroom that they were doing things. They were like, "What's 32 plus 32?" No. I'm just trying to remember where the commercial is. Here we go. This one. This is the one. This is the one. Here we go. This is it.
Some of you believe your system is the most advanced in the universe. Let's review the numbers. Sega Genesis is 16 bits. 3DO is 32 bits. The Atari Jaguar is 64 bits. Which is more advanced? Clifford!
Whoa.
With 64 bits, 3D graphics, real-world animation, and lightning speed that you can only get with Jaguar, which is more advanced? Clifford!
Can you repeat the question?
Jaguar! Jaguar! Jaguar!
64 bits.
That was the in thing of the 90s. It was just saying like, oh hey, we doubled the number, therefore our system is better. It's more powerful. Yeah. It was like Jaguar, like graphics wise, it was actually worse than the PlayStation.
It was
in, like, some cases. So like, I think I believe the only like game that like Jaguar really like pushed was an Alien game and Rayman. They had Rayman first before everybody else.
So now we're gonna look at.
I don't even think I heard of the Jaguar, to be honest. I don't even think I was in the same...
it bombed. That like once it failed, like Atari was like, well, we can't do consoles anymore.
And now we can't talk about 90s toys without bringing up the Barbie toy. We have to bring up at least one Barbie commercial in this.
Totally hot, totally cool, totally hair Barbie. Comb it out, add some depth.
Oh, it's got a perm.
I know.
Oh my god, she looks like Gem in the holograms.
That's a lot of hair in a minute.
I know.
Totally cool, totally hair Barbie. You got something special.
Totally Hair Barbie doll has blonde or brunette hair down to her toes and comes with
Now I want
gel.
that.
Dolls each sold separately.
Totally hair Barbie.
I can't. I'm still going at it. It's like, huh. No, this was
Totally hair Barbie.
I mean, you got to remember, this was during the time that they divided the toys for boy toys / girl toys, and it's like,
I
don't
just
care.
remembered one girl toy, two girl toys. I remember Dream Phone and then Mall Madness.
Oh, I'll go into Dream. I have actually Dream Phone for a second. We also have the Teen Talk Barbie toy too.
Oh yeah, that one.
Don't you? I can't believe my ears. I can't believe my eyes.
God, look at the hairstyles from back then.
Mine says, wanna have a pizza party? Mine says, you're my best friend. And now she says, meet me at the mall. Cool. What's she gonna say next? Listen. Do you have a crush on anyone?
You won't believe your ears or eyes. Teen Talk Barbie.
It's so like,
Each
it's
Teen Talk
so
Barbie doll
cliche.
contains Barbie dolls each sold separately.
Like, the only 4 things it says is like, do you want to go to the mall? What do you think of my hair?
Do you have a crush on somebody?
They did recall that toy because I don't remember if it was one of the phrases was that she's like, math is so hard.
Oh,
And
I
people
think
were like,
I
"Wait,
think that's
what?"
I think that's this one right here. The Talk With Me Computer
Math
Barbie.
is so hard.
You're so cool. She knows me. When you program how you want to play, let's shop. Barbie has something fun to say. Let's go, Barbie. I love your new pink outfit. No way. Nicole, you're so cool. How did you know my name?
Oh, the mouth is moving. How creepy is that?
I know. It's essentially having a Five Nights at Freddy's animatronic in your house. Just
I'm confirmed. Barbie is a hardcore PC gamer. She's got like the highest rig. She can talk to her fans. Like she sees through your computer.
She's got all the elements.
like, I'm sorry if I see that in Five Nights at Freddy's, I'm still gonna be scared of it. It's just like, hey, the mouth is talking. Don't do this. the mouth is talking. I'm like, here we. Now this is what Corey was talking about.
Who's got a crush on you? Hello, Hugs. It's Dream Phone.
phone, the electronic game with the talking phone. To win, call guys, get clues, figure out which guy really likes you.
He's not wearing a hat.
Bye, guys. What'd he say? My secret. Ah, you.
Oh my God, is this like Guess Who, but on a phone?
Guys. It's Dan. Dan, my man.
You're right.
Oh my God.
Yes. Dream phone, the hot electronic talking phone game. It's for you.
All this. Oh, wait.
What is that big thing? What
That's
is that?
That's the phone. That's the
You're
phone.
right. I really like
No,
you.
rewind that part back on the bottom
Dream
text.
phone, the hot electronic talking phone game. It's
Right there.
Yeah.
Dream phone is a real phone, cannot be used with any phone network.
You cannot really call the boy that you like with this phone.
Basically.
He's not really calling you right now.
My question is, you spend so much time like having to track down the 40 boys that like you instead of just directly asking the boys.
Oh, trust me, it is nightmare fuel with that.
Yeah, Starry Thrill.
Starry Thrill. How's it going, Starry? Yeah, definitely that is nightmare fuel. I also have Don't Wake Up Dad. Like I'm seeing all of the suggestions. I'm trying to take as many as I can from chat. If you have any more commercial suggestions, chat, just throw them in because we'll definitely throw them in here. It's a really good.
Don't wake Daddy.
Don't Wake Daddy.
This is actually a horror game. People think this isn't a game to scare you. No, it will.
Because what's more scarier than waking up your dad in the middle of the night?
How terrifying it is. Like 4 children are just trying to go get snacks, and dad just literally comes up like a Frankenstein. I'm here. I'm alive. I'm coming to get you. And you're just like, oh no.
There's also
Daddy.
It's just like, oh no, he caught me sneaking in for a snack. Crap. This is the original 1992. This is so funny.
All it's missing is like an axe, you know?
You stepped on the dog's tail. He's gonna bark.
Without waking Daddy, land on a noise, and you have to press Daddy's alarm clock. Will he wake up?
Those eyes.
You see how serious it is that the hat just pops right off as you have awoken me from my sleep.
for thousands of years, I have slept and you have woken me up. There's also this is another one. We gotta put this one here. Okay, but who remembers Hungry Hungry Hippos?
Yeah.
The whole entire thing just.
Isn't there like a game or something that we have now that is like
That-
a digital game that is similar?
I think they still sell the
Yeah.
actual original one, but now it's a smaller one. Basically. So now it's one you can take on the go with you.
Now, I don't know if there's actually any skill to it. Like you just smash down on it as hard and as fast as you can.
If you ever wanted to practice an Mario Party back in the day, this was how you did it. This is how you get your reflex skills. And you need to press the same button over and over.
We also have the knockout game too.
Oh, I don't know how well that one worked out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Without making the wall.
I feel like I used to have that game where you knock each other. Oh no, this is different.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what is this?
Basically, it was like a really intense version of Jenga.
Yeah, where you get your own jackhammer. Wow. Wow. I thought you were talking about the 2 robots knockout.
Oh, you were talking about Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Rock'em Sock'em Robot, that's it. That's it. Yeah.
Those are a class.
Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Like you gotta. The commercials are really good.
I did remember one. My brother actually has all of them, and it was actually my second Instagram picture ever. The Tiger LCD electronic games.
Tiger LCD.
I don't know.
Hold on. Tiger
You might
LCD.
Not, yeah, back when Tiger was all the rage, and they used to make everything electronic.
Oh, you're talking about
have electronic LCD.
You're talking about these games. Oh, I remember these.
Yeah.
I had a Sonic one. I remember that for a fact.
I had Sonic 3. I had Darkwing Duck. I had Beauty and the Beast. I had Street Fighter, Power Rangers. There were so many of these.
Let's look at a few of these because there's like a whole collection right here. I'm like, wait, hold on a second. I saw that. Did they just?
Some people will do anything to take their favorite video games.
We just steal a whole arcade cabinet by all means.
All the fun and excitement of your favorite arcade game in the palm of
Jordan
your hand.
Bird.
Games like Jordan versus Bird. 7 game variations make go
Oh my
one
God.
on one with your favorite basketball heroes. A real matchup of thrills and action. Also
When you couldn't get the Game Boy and your parents were like, oh, this is $20.
They had
here,
Simon's
get
Quest.
Oh my God!
Dragon,
No, I had Double Dragon at one point. I had access to that. I played Double Dragon. This is a crazy throwback. This again was another one at my grandmother's house. that would have
Shinobi.
These games. Wow. Shinobi. Oh my God! I played that one too. This is nuts, man. This is freaky.
Quest.
Yeah, you know they actually now they brought those back. They brought back the Tiger Electronics now because Hasbro wants to bank in on it. Oh,
Yeah.
I had a Power Rangers one, even though that one was by Tiger, but it had like
reels of real battle action.
it had like a card system, so you would swipe the card, and every time you swipe the card, an item would come out to aid the Power Rangers. You play as different Power Rangers, even though it's like, you know, it's an LCD game. It's like, how do you know which Power Ranger you're playing as? You can't
Yeah.
tell the difference. It's literally just one animation.
And it's like, who do you want to be? I want to be blue. Okay, you want to be black and gray?
This isn't what I asked for.
This is not what I asked for.
Tigers Baseball All-Stars.
Baseball All Stars.
Pick your starting lineup.
Wow.
Batting lead, Sierra. Here are their real stats. Batting average.
You know the coolest thing is, like, now it's a little bit more applicable, right? If you wanted to be Larry Bird, you would play a character that has like Larry Bird on the jersey. They would have facial features like Larry Bird. In this, it would say this is Larry Bird, and both characters look the same. You know, like there's no defining qualities that would say this is whoever. It's just a white guy playing basketball. Like that's it. They're all the same white person playing basketball.
Like, it's literally, you just don't want to have that anymore. I mean, like, here's the thing. I still find it funny that companies can get away with the fact that, hey, you're playing as this character, but it's LCD. You can just get away with it. It's like, no, you're playing as Billy. I swear, guys, it's okay.
Just
Yeah, you can clearly tell by the little tiny pixel detail that it's clearly a different character than mine.
They have the same birthmark, you know? Like it's
the Black Shadow Ball.
Too much. Too much.
Also available, Ninja Gaiden.
Oh, I love that.
Ninja Gaiden, Paperboy.
Tiger LCD video.
I played Ninja Gaiden.
Excitement in the palm of your hand.
Yeah.
Tiger puts arcade action in the
This is
palm of your
gorgeous.
hand.
Wait, what do we got here?
Batman.
Batman.
Choose your weapons in this 4-level game of action as you jump from
Yeah,
rooftop
that
to
one I
rooftop,
have.
trying to get through 6 vicious henchmen.
Did you hear it? 4 levels, guys.
Can you defeat him to win? Also available, Tiger's
Imagine
Batman
what you could do with 4 levels.
Time of your
There was a watch. There was a.
Tiger LCD.
Oh heck yeah, let's do this. Let's go. Let's do this on the go. We don't even need the system. Just do it
Just-
on our.
just do it with the whole thing.
Move over, Apple. Move over, Apple. Watch, we don't need you anymore.
Right?
Real deal.
Mega Man
Check the
2.
weather. You can play Batman.
You could play Mega. Wait a minute. Hold on. Hold. Nah. Go back 1 sec.
It looks just like him.
Mega Man has a gun.
He has a.
He's carrying a gun. You see like a slight Wily's thing right there.
Be cool.
Wily's cat.
Be cool. Be cool.
You're fine.
Be cool. Mega Man, listen, just put the gun down, okay? Just be cool. Okay.
Wait, Hito. Wait, Hito. Play it a little bit. I want to see who the enemy is.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Dr. Wily, his evil dragon.
Who's getting snapped
Okay.
by
That looks. Who are you?
that is an interesting thing.
Is that Woodman?
Oh.
Okay, that one
Man's
actually.
usually a whole P. He's not a whole like.
Oh, what happened there? He changed completely.
Yeah, it's just. We're looking at all the bosses, see what happens.
Oh, I guess it's a different enemy.
Shinobi, Altered Beast, and Super Sprint.
Altered Beast, guys. Oh my
in the
god.
palm of
I'm
your
gonna
hand.
stop. I'm gonna stop. If I keep looking at these, I'm gonna. Oh my
You're gonna
god.
go out and buy it.
Yeah, and
You're gonna
Hito,
go
now
out
they
and buy
brought
it
these-
right
now
away.
they brought these back because kids now want to go play of these games again.
That's why we're getting the Game & Watches back again too, because I don't know if you heard, Mario did their Game & Watch celebration, and now Zelda's getting their own Game & Watch back. So that's gonna be amazing. Like, we're gonna have all of that going in. So that's an amazing thing that we can look forward to. However, the new Legend of Zelda one that's coming out has the original Legend of Zelda, Zelda 2, and I believe Link's Awakening. So that's now we can see powerful things like this holding like 3 games in there. I'm like, yes. All of that. All of this, please. This is what we should have gotten in the 90s. But then in the 90s, it's like, it hasn't come out yet. So, we can't do that right now. I'm like, damn it. Okay. From what I'm looking at inside the chat, someone's telling me to, Mikon's telling me to bring up the HeroScape commercial. So, let's see what we got here.
Is that a TV show or?
It's a game. This came out in 2004, though. This was 2004.
Maybe he's referring. Wait, is it like maybe is it like a newer version?
Maybe it's a newer version. I remember this commercial, though. This is when you take like historical creatures and try to basically put them all together. I think this is the old classic one, maybe. This might be the classic one. Oh, that's a long commercial. Yeah, that's a long commercial, but you get the gist of it. You take classic heroes from across all over the timeline, and then you put them into battle with all of these other creatures that are coming in. So it's actually pretty good. It was a really fun game, too. I played it once. Hence, once. Oh no, the Tiger handheld's back again, guys. Run.
Well, come on, Hito. More of your favorite franchise is now on LCD.
Oh god, no. No, not after the Mega Man I just saw.
They're gonna make an Earthbound LCD. You're not even gonna see the characters. You're just gonna have like 2 options there.
Don't wish that on me. Don't wish that on me. Why would you do that? Oh, Earthbound, no. We have to talk about Hot Wheels.
Oh. Oh my god, I remember the car wash.
You had to do the car wash.
Car wash, classic.
Listen, this was the one time you cared about your car's hygiene.
They make it so easy. You just go up 3 levels of a floor and then you just wash your car and bam, that's it.
So, very bad story on Hito's time right here, which is when I was a kid, I thought car washes actually were like that. I thought we had to go up like levels and levels of things to get the car suds, rinse, and then spin dried. I thought we were writing the card wash. I'm like, oh my god, we're gonna go up the 3 levels, and then I was just very unsatisfied. I'm like, it was just one tunnel. Man, Hot Wheels lied to me, and then to that day, I just didn't play Hot Wheels after that. I was disappointed. I was.
Hito, look up the Spider-Man toys.
Ooh.
Because the 90s Spider-Man toys, they had like a whole. I remember like back when Spider-Man, X-Men were like all the rage. They had like a whole thing of like collect all the X-Men, collect every single comic book character.
Before I do that, let me check out the Kerplunk. The Kerplunk
is good.
Because Ricochet actually recommended Kerplunk.
You can still buy that. You can still buy Kerplunk.
I saw it in my Target.
That's actually a really fun game. That's kind of fun. That's one of those good games that if you have a couple of sips of a little something on the side there, if you get a little couple of glasses of wine, that game is just, it's ridiculous.
You would get so nervous. You're just like, no.
Oh, yeah. Like as soon as you start dropping some marbles, you just start laughing hysterically.
And then we also have Buckaroo.
Oh my god, is that the one where there's like literally a bull and oh my god, it is. It's a bull.
He's big, he's mean, he's upset too. The bull called Buckaroo, Yahoo Buckaroo. They come from miles around.
So like you just throw them on the ball and then that gets played.
We showed him. Like, you sure?
I feel like it's probably not a good idea because like you're throwing all these and then what if the bull just like flicks them all over and then you're like parents are like, oh god, another one of these pieces where
We also had crocodile dentists.
No worries, I'm the crocodile dentist. I'll fix it small. You
This.
crocodile. I'm the crocodile dentist. Crocodile dentist. Just grab and pull. There's what a mouthful. I'm the crocodile dentist.
That's a
Those things would scare the shit out of me. It's like that. What was that other one that used to explode if you don't put all the right shapes in the right places in time?
Perfection, which I could actually show that one.
I feel so much better.
That one scares the crap out of me every time, like without fail.
Funny enough, Super, they actually still have perfection in the school that I work for. They do it for all the kids that need like some sort of mental stimulation. So what they do is they play perfection and they're like, I got it, I got it, I got it, I got it, and then they get it.
That's not mental stimulation though. That's not mental mental stimulation is like something that positively stimulates your thought processes. This stimulates your fight or flight response. That's very different.
This is your quick time event practice.
I think that would scare anybody when you see all the pieces popping out of the guy.
Oh yeah.
See,
My brothers used to make this worse with my cousins where we were playing it and they'd start yelling while I'm playing it because they said, oh, it makes it more difficult if you're having to deal with people yelling at you while you're putting the pieces together. I'm like, no.
How is that a thing? How is that? We're gonna add the extra element where we're gonna yell at you and threaten you.
Last time I did,
Guess who is a mystery? Your person wear a hat? No.
You're history. Nothing popping
But
out.
I'm still here.
I was supposed to.
And you guess who? Does your person have a beard? Uh-huh.
You're out of here.
Before playing the game.
And you guess who? Do you have a clue? Does your person wear glasses? Yes. I'm gone.
Me too.
And you guess who? Not you or you. You're Sam. You win. Let's play again.
Guess who's good, though? I would still
Game
play
cards
Guess
do
Who.
not actually talk.
It's such an easy game. It was well designed, unlike the dating dream phone, whatever it's called. Like that was easy to set up, easy to play. It was really fun. Like you can play like around, and it's so self-contained that you don't have to worry or manage any pieces. I really like that game.
Definitely. You said the Spider-Man 90s toys, correct?
Spider-Man and X-Men.
Spider-Man and X-Men. So legitimately, it was just they're
two different commercials, but I that's why I wanted to bring both of them up because like I remember like X-Men was like collect all the X-Men. There were like 40 of them. I'm trying to remember all the.
I try to find the one that you're talking about. Was it the one by Toy Biz?
I think just look up just look up the Spider-Man one first and then look up X-Men.
I do not see the Spider-Man one. I just see the X-Men one.
Yeah, maybe Spider-Man Toy Biz. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll do this one. The Uncanny X-Men action figures. See what happens. But welcome to the podcast, everyone. We're talking 90s toys. I have two special guests, which is Super Murgatroyd and CTK Plays. We've just been reviewing all these old toys from the 90s. We've been watching all these commercials.
They show you that it retracts. That's got a retractable Wolverine claws.
Quick draw gun action. Look out. And Mr. Sinister with his light up chest. These aren't ordinary men. They're
Yeah, I had like
X-Men
so many
figures
of these
sold
toys.
separately from Toy Biz.
Okay.
Yeah, there was another
I didn't have
commercial
any
there
of
was
these
another
ones.
commercial where there was like, can you collect them all as they start telling you all the X-Men names, and the kids getting overwhelmed. Like, wait, what do I do?
There's one I have to show. Like, this is going to be the last commercial before we do the next activity, which is the 90s tier list. Which toy do you remember? But we cannot do this without showing this.
Bop it.
Actually, Hito, I have Bop It right here. literally right in my hands.
Just bop it. Just brings out the bop it. Just never.
And I made sure, I made sure it was it's a newer version, but I made sure it was just the original 3 because later on, Bop It started adding like Bop It Extreme. There was like Flick It, Spin It.
Wanna play a game that's really challenging?
Like what?
Like Bop It!
Like-
It commands, you obey!
It's like if Fidget Spinner was a game, this would be it.
Man, that looks easy.
Sure, it looks easy, but it's not!
Whoa, it's getting faster.
If you can't keep up, you lose!
You blew it. My turn.
Once you get your hands on Bop It, you're not gonna want to stop it!
You know what was
Fast-talking
another good
electronic
self?
weapons, batteries not included.
I think it was like Simon, where it's got the 4 different colors.
Yep.
Do you remember what was that called? I think it was.
You just said it. It's Simon.
Is that it, Simon?
You mean
where it
just
had the
Simon?
4
Yeah,
different
what Simon
colors.
said.
Yeah.
It was just Simon where you press the button, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, where it would give you the pattern, you'd have to mimic it, and then it would give you another pattern. The patterns would get longer.
You're mine.
Simon. Let's do it. The fun is in the challenge, Simon. Take the Simon challenge, Simon.
The Simon Challenge. You gotta repeat the patterns of colored lights and sounds. The longer you play, the more challenging the pattern gets. The winner's the one who keeps it going the longest. If you miss,
Because you had to remember all each one would light up first. It would go through its pattern. The patterns would get longer and more complicated. And you would have to remember it and then mimic it after it was done.
It was a difficult game. Then we also have the 1992 Bradley edition.
What does it
Feel like to play.
Simon?
Yeah, you were thinking of that one, Ricochet? Yeah, it's a good one. What does it feel like to party?
Yeah.
Oh my god. That's how it starts. What does it feel like to party? Slap a bunch of buttons with lights and colors.
Just you're the DJ of this party.
This really was a competitive game because you're just literally sitting there like red, yellow, blue, like, and you just like watch one kid do. I'm like, damn, when's my turn? This kid's still going. This kid's still going.
I think this was like
commercial
Bop It.
probably.
Yeah.
This commercial is probably how they felt when they were doing like such high scores. Like the lights were just going up in their face. Like,
let's go. See, and I think this one was like Bop It, where Bop It you could play competitive mode, right? It was like, now pass it, and then you had to pass it, and then they start. I think Simon was like that, where it's like, player 1, do this one, and then player 2, do this one. And I think there was like this competitive mode you could play.
Yeah, there was definitely a thing there. So now we're going to get to the next part of our activity, which we're going to do the 90s tier list. The 90s tier list has a whole bunch of random toys that we used to play with as a kid. But the tier list is not going to be done by grade except for A, where you have in the tier list, it goes as this. Was at the top of my Christmas list. A, that's the only letter we get. Just A, I like it. There we go. The next one is looked more fun than it actually was. Never had it or played with it. And the last one is, why did they even make this stupid toy? So these are all going to be random toys that we have here. But I am going to ask you guys a question here. So what is one toy in the 90s you used to play with a lot that you just couldn't put it down? And I'm going to start with CTK on that one.
Oh god, this is hard because I think one game I remember I always wanted to get, like, and I would see commercials, was Crossfire. Because I would see that, I was like, oh man, it's so cool. I remember playing it at my cousin's house, and I'm thinking, like, you know, like the commercial, because that's not how the 90s was. The 90s was all about making stuff look extreme, like you gotta have it right now, because all these kids are like having fun and like zooming in and out. That was their emphasis. I will say though, what I showed you before with 13 Dead End Drive, that to me was like one of my favorite games, because that was a game where like it was kind of like the Among Us of the time, where everyone's like having to backstab each other, and you're just like, oh, you know, we're all gonna get along, and then we just gotta kill this one person to get the inheritance.
These games were dark at the time. I'm like, oh wow. I didn't, like, you think about it now, it's like, if we even made a game about that, people would just, like, look very suspicious at you, like, did you just make a game about killing somebody for inheritance? I'm like, yes.
If it would be between that one and Bop It also would be the other one, because Bop It for me, I actually spent, like, 10 years trying to find, like, a regular version, because none of these newer versions of Bop It, it's always like, you know, the miniature versions, like, no, the score goes up to 25. I'm like, no, I don't need 25. I could beat that. I gotta go higher than that. So, like, I remember, like, I was like, I'm going out of my way to find the one game that I'm like, no, defined my rhythm game years, and that was Bop It. So Bop It for me, rhythm game wise, and then general would be 13 Dead End Drive.
All right. Super. How about you? What was one toy you couldn't put down as a kid?
I loved this toy, and it's not that I couldn't put it down, but it was definitely my go-to, and that was Etch-a-Sketch. Etch-a-Sketch was just like, it was the ability to create anything, and you had to master the different dials and how you could turn them at just the right time and just the right way to do like angles, because it would only do straight lines in like a
If
grid
it's like
format.
vertical or horizontal, yeah.
Yeah, but if you turned it at just the right way, at just the right speed, both of them independently, then you could make, you know, curves, and you could, like, people have made amazing Etch-a-Sketch, you know, things and masterpieces, I guess. And it was literally, it was like an art form. But I really did like it because, again, you could just start over, you shook it, and then you were like ready to go again, right? So you could write notes to people. You could create something. I would be watching TV and I'd just be like, drawing on the Etch-a-Sketch. The other one that I really wanted, but I never actually got, was Tickle Me Elmo. And we didn't talk about that. We talked about Furbies, but Tickle Me Elmo. Yeah, it was like, you know, like Tickle Me Elmo was the one that came after that was actually like the Tigger doll, the one that jumps. It was like Tickle Me Elmo, and then it was the Tigger jumping toy that were like my two favorites that I never got, but I always wanted them. They were like the toys of the season. But Etch-a-Sketch was definitely my go-to.
Funny enough, Super, my mom still has her Etch-a-Sketch. It's the old one that
really?
it's the old one that they had to recall because
Yeah.
the spillage from the back would actually cause some very disgusting side effects. But she still has it like well preserved and everything, and
Yeah.
still looking at that, it's still a funny thing. I just hate that Etch-a-Sketches were so easy to break. It was like the second,
Really?
yeah, they were kind of easy to break. Like, for example, the back would sometimes come out. Like, if you take out the back, all the stuff that's in there that makes the thing move, it would come out,
Like
and
filings or something, right? It's like
Yeah.
these filings. Yeah.
and that was and like, and as a
Go
kid,
ahead.
yeah, but as a kid, like, you gotta remember, we were kids. We like to touch our face and our noses and our eyes and our mouths. So the second that happens, I'm like, uh-oh,
Yeah.
I am now the Etch-a-Sketch. Draw me.
I will say though, I did have a Tickle Me Elmo because my mom got like one of the early ones back when it was like that very first year, and I swear, what's worse than the Furby scaring me, the Tickle Me Elmo. That was literally the scariest doll for me because my mom would keep it in like this furniture piece in like a closet, and every now and then I'd start hearing Elmo's like laughing, and I'd get scared like, oh my god, I'm literally running away. And I remember one time,
Kind of like the Isabel doll.
I remember one time I had like a straight up nightmare of like Elmo laughing like a horror movie, like he's coming after you with the knife, and like running away, and I'm just like, I hate this doll. I wanted to like just go into like throw it into the Hudson River and never see it again.
Really?
So another thing that did come out in the 90s was the evolution of the Game Boy, which was the Game Boy Color.
Yes.
Yeah.
That one was also a really good one. If you did that upgrade before just going right to a console, the Game Boy Color was really good.
I'm not gonna lie though, my mom got the substitute of Tickle Me Elmo, and it's Sleepy Time Ernie. It was just Ernie, and it was literally Ernie just sleeping. But however, the snoring would scare me because he would do a snore. So I would try to throw him across the closet somewhere. I would hide him hard in the deep part of my closet, and I'll be sleeping, and all I hear is I'm like, what the is that? I'm like, what the French toast? Like, what the French toast is happening here? So it would
now out of curiosity, did the Nintendo 64 come out in the 90s?
It did.
I think it did.
Yes, it was 96.
Yeah.
I was 6. I was like, I remember I got my N64 like a little before, like I think when I was returning from school or starting school, and I remember I'm like, oh man, like my mom's like, come on, you gotta go to school. No, I gotta play some Killer Instinct Gold and Mario before school starts. I only have like a half hour to do it.
Okay.
For me, it was GoldenEye. GoldenEye for the 64. That one is like my favorite game to play with other people. And then it was StarCraft. StarCraft was a PC game at the time, but they did
StarCraft
make
64.
They made it for 64, and I don't know like what the history of it is, but they didn't make very many of the games. It wasn't a very popular game because everybody was like, it's not cool unless it's on, PC. So they didn't make a lot of the games. They're kind of hard to find. I still have my Nintendo 64 StarCraft.
Yeah, because like it was like I think from what I remember Blizzard's first attempt at like doing like a console-based game port, and they were like, "This is really awkward because the N64 controller is just not set up for like an RTS like StarCraft." And it's just like the fact that they tried it, and I even remember some additional things that game had. If you had the expansion pack, you get the literal expansion pack, Brood War for it, and you could do 2-player on StarCraft 64. But I remember like they were like, yeah, this is just a weird port, and they didn't try again with doing another port on consoles, I think, until Overwatch.
All right. So guys, are you ready for this next craziness that we're about to do?
Possibly.
So we're ready with the tier list now. And I'm about to show it off right about now. Boom. So this is our tier list. Was at the top of my Christmas list. A, looked more fun than it actually was. Never had it or played with it. Why did they even make this stupid toy? And we're going to start with the first one. And I think this should look familiar.
Oh, wow.
This, I've seen it. I don't remember the name of it.
Is that Play-Doh?
Does it have the name on it, or did they just don't label it?
I think they didn't label it, but I don't remember what kind of doll this was. I know it was a friend's doll. It was basically like, it was a life-size doll where a girl could just play with it like it was a friend. And it would have like talk commands, if I remember correctly.
Was this like My Best Friend or something like that? Wasn't there a big toy that was like My Buddy, and then there was a female version of it or something?
Yeah, I think that's what this is.
Yeah.
Never played with it.
I wasn't a big doll person.
I mean, I never played it, but like I imagine like, hey, you have like a life-size doll and you just give them a Nintendo 64 controller and take a picture. Maybe it'll trick some of the other kids in school.
All right.
I've got friends.
I got friends.
I don't need friends. My friend talks. Look, she's holding a controller. Look, she's
don't know
doing
me.
really good.
You don't know me. I got friends.
Next up is the Polly Pocket. Polly Pocket.
I didn't have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have this like Polly Pocket specifically. I had the male equivalent of it, which was Mighty Max. It was like basically the same premise. It was like it was like like a little tiny toy and like a open thing, and you open up the case and you just like play with them right there. It's like a little like mini like micro having fun like setup.
But Polly Pocket was definitely more popular, more recognizable as a brand.
Hold on a sec. Eppolite, thank you for the raid. Thank you for trusting me with your community. Welcome in. We are talking about 90s toys today. Let me shout you out for a sec, Eppolite. Boom. There we go. Thank you so much for coming in. Yeah, like I said before, we're talking about old 90s toys. But yes, we are doing a lot. You can't hear me, but I love... Oh, wait. Can anyone hear me? Am I just the void?
I can hear you.
Okay. Well, you guys are in Discord, so you can hear me. But are we good on sounds for everyone? Okay, yep, okay, good. I was like, she can't hear me. Oh no. Can I get Weapons and Warriors on the list? Let's see if we have Weapons and Warriors on the list, Decrata. Alright, so
Hey, Decrata, what's up, dude?
So, where do we put the Polly Pocket, though?
I would put it look more fun than it actually was, because personally for me, like as someone who had Mighty Max, I even had a Pokemon equivalent to it. It's this idea like, oh hey, I can take this little mini play set with me wherever I want and just play it on there and then like close it and then I'm done.
I got like nothing. I got nothing for Polly Pocket.
I had looked more fun than it actually was, so we'll put it there. Like, it's not bad.
Yeah.
It was a fun toy. It was fun to have the little creature. I had the Pokemon version of it.
Yeah, I did too.
Like, I had all three with
little tiny Pikachu.
I had nothing. I mean, it was one of those things where it was like so small. I like dealing with the bigger things like the G.I. Joes, the Castle Grayskull, you know, like I was really into the what can I create as an adventure piece, right? And I like to play things in the backyard in the sandbox so that way I could create the landscape and all that stuff. The Polly Pocket, I think it was just I didn't like things with too many accessories to lose.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Next up is Mousetrap. We talked about this earlier. Mousetrap.
Honestly, for me, why did they even make this stupid toy? Straight up.
You know what? I know why they did it. I know why and I think it's brilliant. It's the Rube Goldberg machine, right? It's that idea of creating something with perpetual motion. And I love the idea of instilling that in kids when they're young. However, it was a terrible game. It took way too long to set up. Like they,
it's you know what it is? It's the board game equivalent if you were trying to watch like a Tom and Jerry cartoon and you were just like trying to set up and like catch Jerry. Like, oh here, hold on, let me put the piece where the ball goes up on the conveyor belt and like it's like just put a mousetrap. That's it. Like
Spoiler alert: Jerry always wins.
Yeah. The ending as well was always anticlimactic. Like, you know, I would want the ending trap just to go like a jail cell. You know what I mean? But instead it's like click, 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 click. It's like, come on!
I'm also gonna put it there too because I actually got this for Christmas at one point, and a very tragic story since I couldn't set up. I got so mad I threw it on the ground, and then I stepped on a piece and hurt myself. So. Why did they even make this stupid toy?
Instant karma.
Instant karma.
You know what, Hito? Maybe it wasn't made to be a mousetrap. Maybe it was meant to be a Hito trap. It was meant to, meant to trap you instead.
It's a bear trap. I knew it.
At least your toe.
At least my toe. Next up is the Bumbleball. This was.
Oh, I remember these. Yes.
What
I think
hell?
I remember these. I mean, it was more or less just like a regular ball that you'd like roll around, but it had like the bumper things. It was like they weren't meant to hit you. You know, it was kind of like if you was put like like baby safe proof a ball, so so the kids don't like accidentally hit things. That's what those little bumper things were for.
Yeah, it's It's a bumper ball. I remember these also used to vibrate too. So there would be a time that when we used to do like a hot potato with it. And what would happen is we would pass the toy, and whoever activated the vibrate when they caught it, they were out.
I would put that in the why did they even make this toy? I don't understand it. I feel like I just don't.
It was a.
If I could throw it at someone and it would be a deterrent, maybe. But that's it. I got nothing.
Yeah, I actually will put it under why did they even make that? It was never explained to me why this ball was made. Why did it have to be made?
It was a ball on crack, says Meek and Patchy.
It was a ball on. It was. Next up is the Nickelodeon Gak. It was basically slime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing I always wanted to do at Nickelodeon, like when they had the Nickelodeon studios, was get slimes. I wanted to get slimed. I wanted like the Gak because people like, oh, it's gross. You know, it's just like you're like picking up this random colored slime. I'm like, but that was the thing about Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon was like the bizarre, weird stuff.
Yeah.
And the Gak was that. Like it was like the idea. Oh, it's gross, cool. Oh man.
But it wasn't liquidy. Like it's not like Nickelodeon where they like.
It was kind of like a very like slimy putty.
Yeah.
In a sense, like because like putty was more like stuff you stretched, but putty wasn't like liquidy. It was like that was straight up like it would feel like slimy and like weird on your hands.
This was like Silly Putty the Next Generation, the thing that parents absolutely hate, like Silly Putty, because all of a sudden it just appears like on your ass when you sit up from the couch because they left it there or something. You know what I mean? Like it became that. So, I mean, even in my house to this day, zero slime because, I mean, like it's just Silly Putty. We gave Silly Putty a try. No, it's everywhere. All of a sudden, it's just everywhere.
Oh my God.
So where would you put this? Where would you honestly put this?
I don't know. Like, I think it's just more of like it's more of a toy that kids would do out of curiosity. It's not really like a toy like you would play for a really long time.
Yeah.
Just like, oh man, I'm gonna try it out, and then I put it away. That's it.
Or pretend that it's a big booger, right? Like go up to your sister and be like,
So I would say probably never had it, but like wanted to more because it's just more like out of curiosity.
I never had it. I mean, I didn't like the idea of getting slimed sometimes. I thought the sliming was mean sometimes. That's why I was like,
is there a hazard section?
oh, there is a hazard
There's
section.
a hazard section.
Yeah, it was very hazardous. It was a choking hazard at some point. So they did stop making gack for that reason. It was booger. So I'm gonna put it in I'm gonna put it here. Never had it or played with it. I never had the chance to get it. Next up is the Buzz Lightyear toy.
Is an A.
That's just
Because
Yeah, that's an A.
Like,
immediate
I
A.
can't even
Toy
see it, but
Story.
I want it.
Toy Story was like if you watched Toy Story as a kid and you get to see like, oh man, you know, it's not just seeing all these toys to like, but you actually get to own Buzz Lightyear with like the whole like buttons and like he's come with all his items and like the box
To
and it's like
infinity and beyond.
it was like the thing like kids would be like, oh, I get to own it just like Andy did in the movie, you know, like the same exact type of toy.
And if we're gonna talk about that, we also need to grab the Mr. Potato Head, and he needs to be like right beside Buzz Lightyear.
Sure, we could do that right now. We
If
definitely.
there's no objections.
No objections.
Mr. Potato Head.
It's like the exact same genre, right? Like it used to be an independent entity, which was good in itself. But as soon as Toy Story came out, now I can't separate the two. They're in that, like they're both Toy Story.
All right, next up is the Hellspawn, aka the Furby. The Furby. The Furby.
Now, why did they make this stupid toy?
Why did they make this?
You know what? It was like the Pet Rock, where it was an idea, it became really famous really fast, and then it fell off. It was like, you know, Trolls, or Furby or Pet Rock. It had its moment, and then everybody came to their senses.
The difference though is that a Pet Rock was literally just a rock. It didn't scare you. It was like you put the rock down, and it's like that. Furby would be like start talking to you on your own, and you'd be like, I didn't press any buttons. Like for every like it's like very eerie.
Hold on, I got it. I got the perfect name for this category. There we go. Just Nightmare Fuel. That'll be the name of this category right here. Just Nightmare Fuel. Just we put that there. We add this.
Yeah. The demon.
Nightmare Fuel. The demon. So now we have so we're adding that new category. New category is Nightmare Fuel. Okay.
Down.
Next up is Mr. Bucket. This was a really weird game where you would just throw balls in a bucket. And
Mr. Bucket.
That one.
Yeah, it was like I think it was just I remember it was just like I think he's like he just shoots out the balls and then you have like a little scoop thing you have to pick them up and then put them back in the bucket so he can rinse and repeat the same thing over and over again.
It was
instead of spending the extra money for the game itself, go to the dollar store, get yourself a bucket that comes with its own shovel for $1 and play the game. Like, you know, don't be lazy. Just like dump over the bucket when you want to empty it. Don't wait for a guy to take it out.
You know what's
fun? It was just too repetitive because it's just like you don't do anything else other than just like the kids picking up, and it's like if kids wanted to pick up the parents would be like, well, great, you can do chores and it's free. I don't have to pay $20 to go get you a Mr. Bucket.
I will say though,
like I should do that with my kids. Every time they're supposed to clean the house, I'll just grab the garbage can and I'll be like, let's play Mr. Bucket.
I will say this probably made a few kids like really good at lacrosse. Just saying, because of the little thing. Like they got good at lacrosse, so like put it in the bucket. Got it. I caught it. We're good. Yeah. So where do we put Mr. Bucket at?
I would say.
Mikan is saying, but Super Murgatroyd, Mr. Buckets is buckets of fun. So is cleaning, Mikan.
I don't know. I kind of want to put it, why is this a stupid toy? But then it's like, you know, there are people that did enjoy the toy for what it is, you know? So it's kind of like more in between for me.
it's almost like creating the bottled water. It's like I can get it from the sink. You're gonna bottle it for me. Why are we doing this? You know what I mean?
I'll put it. I guess I'll just put it like right here. Like, why did they make this toy when you could just pick up toys for free? Next up is the troll dolls. And hi, Kai.
Oh,
Troll dolls served a purpose because when they came in, they were a fad. But then when they became less cool, it then became cool to put them on your windshield, like your car dash, not unlike a hula doll. Do you know what I mean? Like hula dolls, they're just not cool. But you can put them on your dash, and then it's like, okay, you know, troll dolls are that. That's the only purpose they serve now. I don't know. And they did fuel like the new movie, which is actually, I really enjoy the movie. I don't know if anybody else is down with
the troll dolls. I will say yes, they were a fad mainly because it was just like, oh, you know, like these little creatures with like really weird hair, and you could comb it. And it's like, okay, and that's kind of it. That's all they do. It's just like that's all. That was it because that was the thing they were banking on. And then it's like, yeah, kind of like what you said. Most people who have trolls stuff, they don't really play with them. They just kind of like display them. They just kind of like leave them there. It's just like, oh, I grew up with this, but I'm not actually gonna play with it.
Yeah.
You know, exactly. I gotta add a new thing now. We're just gonna call this fad.
Yeah, I like that. I like the fad genre because that gives us the opportunity to say it came and went, right? It served its purpose.
So we can actually put troll dolls in fad.
There was also, I remember also Simpsons did this. There was a clip where Bart's like playing with the troll doll, and Marge grabs it and she's like, I don't want you playing with something that has such bizarre hair, awful hair, and it zooms in on her hair.
Yeah, I like that.
Now, I don't even know what this is, but this looks like one of those bird gliders.
Oh, that was just a balance.
Oh.
Wait, was that the one where you like
it
you
on
put
your finger?
Yeah, it's like you put the bird on and it's just like you kind of watch it like balance in between, right? Yeah, they because that was also a thing back in the 90s too. It was like, I mean, kids would be like, oh man, how's the weight of the bird staying still?
Yeah,
Ooh.
and you used to build them out of plasticine. I think that's where it came from, because in schools you would build them out of like plasticine that you would get from school and pencils, and you would like create this counterweight that you would do this. And then all of a sudden they created this thing, and I would literally just sit on the couch with one of those on my finger and just be like, nah, watch a movie. And it would just be balanced.
I would say more fad, because it's just like, again, it's just something that it's like, oh, it looks cool for like a minute and it's like whatever. You know, I did this kind of running of an anime back in the day, like in McDonald's, I think in like, I don't remember, it was China. They had a Naruto McDonald's toy where it was like a Sasuke one, and he keeps himself still, and it's like one of those balance things. So like there was like running memes where people would start putting stuff on top of Sasuke and they'd start balancing it. And he's like, well, Sasuke can now overpower anything because he will always keep it still. And someone, I think one did it with like a motorcycle where they put like a wheel on top of the Sasuke toy and he's still holding it still. And I'm like, yep, Sasuke's strong. But I will say though that is more fad to me. It's just kind of like, yeah, you know, it's like something that's like you look at it for a minute, but it's not really something you're thinking about, like actively playing.
Obviously, the next one is the Nintendo 64, and we all know this was at the top of the Christmas list. Was at the top of the Christmas list.
All right, that's definitely an A, especially if you have the 3 games that I was addicted to for the Nintendo 64 is number 1, GoldenEye, and I don't care if you don't like GoldenEye. Don't tell me, because it'll change my opinion of you. Number 2, StarCraft 64, and number 3, Diddy Kong Racing. That's it. Yep. Like that was my go-to games.
All right, so I put the Nintendo 64 at the top of the Christmas list. So it's even beyond A right now. It's like, you wanted this for Christmas. You got this and you cried. That was it. Like, those were beautiful tears of a child. This, I don't even know what this is.
Is that connects?
It looks like connects.
Is that no. These were pipes that would hold marbles that you could connect in like tunnel systems. And if this is correct, and it had like these funnels. So what you would do is you would drop the marbles in at the top, and then there would be these funnels, and then it would go down, and it would be this entire obstacle course of tunnels, of slides, of funnels, and other things. And you could create this entire system as long as you had gravity on your side. Then you could start on top of a table, and you could build these things going down. So that way the marble would just use gravity to keep going down through this obstacle course. They were fantastic. They're great for kids. I got them for our kids, and seriously, it was one of their favorite toys when they were younger.
So I guess I could say we could put looked more fun than it actually was.
Yeah, if it's more, because unlike what Mousetrap was, which was just a convoluted game you play for a half hour, this is like something kids have to want to build.
Yeah.
Because they want to build. It's not because they have to go catch a mouse that they're gonna put away for 20 seconds.
Yeah, there was no trap at the end.
So
spoilers.
The caveman doll.
I don't even know. Is that like a Stretch Armstrong, or is it legitimately?
Let me look at that. Let me look.
So if I remember correctly, this thing was an ongoing thing in multiple media. They had like a parody of this in South Park, a parody of this in Simpsons, a parody of this.
Really?
Yeah, it was a thing. It's a Stretch Armstrong. There you go, Stretch Armstrong.
Oh, it is a Stretch Armstrong. Okay. Stretch Armstrong was cool though. I used to play with Stretch Armstrong for hours. You just keep like pulling at him. It was fun. I would give that somewhere. That was definitely a fad. Stretch Armstrong was, well, I would say it's a fad. It was fun. And then once the novelty wore off of you being able to like stretch his whole body and put him on the, the rack, so to speak, then it was like, all right, that's cool. I'm ready to move on. And every now and then you would see it in the bottom of a toy box or something like that and be like, oh, I remember this.
Oh, this one's gonna be fun. The very strong yo-yos that did the walk the dog tricks for a while. These really high-tech yo-yos.
My brother loved yo-yos. Like he straight up, he had like a whole yo-yo collection. He would start doing them all. But at the same time, it's like the one thing I would say about yo-yos is that it was really hard to like do the tricks unless you were willing to put in. It was like kind of like if you're willing to put in the time to do like the walk the dog tricks, you got the most fun out of it.
So I had with
this. You guys
this.
remember those spherical ones though that automatically retracted, and you would be just like, oh, around the world, and then it would automatically come back, like zero skill required.
Yeah. I will say this, these yo-yos started a thing, and so another Hito story. In my school, these yo-yos were banned. And the reason why was because the kids in my school would use these as weapons. We had a kid who got really hurt.
They probably hit each other. They'd hit each other.
Literally right in the head. We had a kid that literally had to go to the hospital. And like, sorry, but these high-tech yo-yos are no longer allowed in the school. Because of the.
Where'd you go to school in Harlem? Like this sounds intense.
Hi, I did go to school in East Harlem. Thank you.
No
that actually,
way!
Yes. They use these things as projectile weapons. I remember one kid got blitzed on the head with that, and we had to take him to the emergency room because he got really hurt. He was okay.
Oh my god.
But oh my god. And the funny part is, I kind of tried to simulate it, but I never did it at the school. I did it at home because in Earthbound, Ness uses the yo-yo as a weapon. So
yeah, it was one
that's
of his
what
main
Crota
things.
says. Fun fact: it was actually created as a weapon. I did not know that.
So my whole thing is, why did you even make this stupid toy? Because that reminds me of that. Like back then, I used to make a joke like, "You're not Rinku from Yu Yu Hakusho. Stop using yo-yos as weapons. This isn't funny. This isn't funny anymore, guys."
I would put it at look more fun, but then I realized, yeah, it is a stupid toy because it's like, again, you know, if you use it for the right thing, yeah, it's a blast. But I'm sure most kids didn't, so they're just like, okay, well, my yo-yo fell, so I'm just gonna throw it at the next kid, and hopefully they might get hit and maybe try. It's like, yeah, it was
That
kind
used
of a
to
dumb
be
toy.
so pure in my memory, and now it's like right alongside the rope dart. You know what I mean?
Remember lawn darts? Remember that fun thing?
Yes.
They banned those here as well because they were so violent because they were literally darts, like they had spikes at the end, right? Oh my god.
All right, next one is those Nerf footballs. You know, the ones that had the spiral go. Nerf
I'm sorry,
footballs.
that's A.
That-
That's A. That's like
I love
yeah,
those.
They're so much fun.
I
They're
actually
just,
love those.
Yeah, they're not a weapon anywhere, not even Harlem. Like they're just awesome.
See,
You sure
those I
about
never
that?
got to try, but those would look like
You sure about
something
that?
Like I would want as a kid.
You sure?
Look, you can turn any toy. Look, when you're a child, you can turn any toy into a weapon. And you just get mad. Well, this kid doesn't have the toy I want, so I just throw it at him.
Yeah.
All right.
Nerf is probably the most passive out of all
Yeah.
of those weapons.
Next up is the Hot Wheels. Just Hot Wheels in general.
Just Hot Wheels.
Not like just the cars.
Just the cars.
I was never a
I
big
guess
Hot
I guess
Wheels
I would
fan.
guess an A because you don't need the sets, like all the extra stuff to make it fun. And depending on the cars, though, like if you got like the right cool cars, you're like, oh man, I got this car with the skull. I could watch it go. It's like, oh, like, and you would just take it around your house. That's why, incidentally, I have Mario Kart Hot Wheels.
Do you?
I have a whole collection of these, about 20 of them. So
I like the color
Hot Wheels
changes.
is very much loved here.
There you go. Okay, so you're a big Hot Wheels fan. I was never a big Hot Wheels fan, but I was transfixed by the color changers, where you would run it under like cold water or hot water, and it would change the color.
Yes, I remember.
My favorite were the glow in the dark ones, so I would turn off the lights and just watch them go alien-esque. So I would put looked more fun than it actually was.
Cool.
Kids actually have more with it because, like, you know, back then it was just like you just had the regular cars, and now you got like SpongeBob and Disney and all these like cartoon cars, and it's like, man, I didn't have that stuff. It's just like you just had the regular cars, but you make do with it.
I think I actually had the Batmobile Hot Wheels, like the one with Michael Keaton, like that Batmobile. I think I had that in Hot Wheel form. That was like my favorite Hot Wheel that I ever had. That was really cool.
All right, so the next one, and I think Super's gonna enjoy this one. It's the Etch-a-Sketch, guys.
I'm sorry, that's A. That's for me. That's like top of the list. It was so easy to use, so well contained.
I would say top of the list too.
I never had that ever
Wait,
break on me.
so would it?
though
Would it?
apparently that's an
What,
issue.
wait, so would it be at the top of the Christmas list, or would it just be A?
I would say top of the Christmas list because I think more kids wanted it than they did actually have it. It was like, because I remember like I would see kids like whenever they go to the toy store and they'd play with it and be like, oh man, this looks so cool, and they're like making this whole design, and it's like, but then the parent doesn't buy it, and then it's like the parents who did buy it, they got to see like their kids making it, and it's still a great toy because you know it ran on no batteries, there was no like. There wasn't anything special. It was literally just you had the board and that's it. You just
You
create.
turned wheels, like that was it.
That was it. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
Next up is the Easy Bake Oven.
Which makes good treats though. So that. But
you know what? I never understood that, to be honest. Easy Bake was weird.
I mean, it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't on the top of my list because it's like if I like if I wanted like cookies or cakes, I just simply ask, "Hey, can you make me some?" Instead of just like putting the all I think I remember what it was just like you put the mix in and then you just mix it with a spoon. And it's like, okay, you could literally do the same thing with a giant bowl and make like 10 times the amount of cookies that you would get in this one little what you put in the oven for one little cookie.
You
it was
just
like
get.
a toaster oven. It was like a children's toaster oven.
It was a
You know
light
what I
bulb.
mean?
It was a light
Because
bulb.
it ran on a light bulb.
Yeah, it was terrible. Like for me, like my mom and maybe you guys, there's like a demographic of people that didn't used to cook with their parents at all. But my mom would like, I would prefer to sit with my mom while we would make the cookies. I would eat the dough as we're, you know, putting it onto the pan. and then we would put it into the oven. I didn't understand the idea of the easy bake oven. It's like, what easy? What does that mean? Like easy bake? You still like you had to wait for it. I want like bulk. I want 24 cookies. I don't need like 3 or 1 at a time. It didn't make sense to me.
So the reason why the Easy Bake Oven was a really cool thing was because this was again one of those toys that would market towards men, towards boys or girls. This was the girl toy, and girls would buy this more often because they wanted to have little mini snacks for tea parties and stuff like that. So they thought, oh, this is perfect. The Easy Bake Oven actually goes all the way back, I think, all the way to the 60s or 70s, around that area.
It's like 50s, 60s, because it comes from that time when it was like, that demographic of the decade. Nowadays, I actually, from what I read, they actually replaced the light bulb. So it's no longer like a literal light bulb. Now they use like a different type of lighting to cook. But it's like, again, it's still doing it all for like one cake. It's like I get the premise of it though. It's like it's to teach kids, okay, well they can't use the ovens themselves. Like they can just make the snacks whatever they want. But but guess what? But again, you still gotta beg your parents to go buy you the specific stuff for that oven when you could literally just go to your local like grocery store and buy for like $2 a box to go make the same stuff anyway.
Yeah, and you know what? They also created what do they call like cake in cups? Cake in a cup. They have those now. So you just literally put a mix into a mug. You put it in the microwave for however many minutes, right? And then you've got a cake. Like Easy Bake isn't even required anymore. As soon as they made microwaves, Easy Bake Oven gone.
All right, are you ready for this next one?
Yes.
Perfection.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's
nightmare fuel.
That's definitely nightmare.
Nightmare fuel.
Nightmare fuel.
This is what turned turned everyone into the anxious person that they are today. This is one of those games that
If
did
you
that.
ever wonder why we get such anxiety from things, it's because of this game. It started with this game. It's like, oh man, you have 20 seconds to put the piece. Wait, the piece doesn't go in. You gotta turn the piece. Wait, I just wasted 5 seconds trying to turn this one piece and it popped out. It's like...
You know those Asian games that are based on torture that they do in real life? It's like, hey, we are going to make loud noises happen, and if you flinch, then, this hammer will smack you in the scrotum. Like, this was the earliest torture game that is Americanized, It was like, it scared the crap out of you if you didn't finish it. That was just how it was designed.
And listen, I'm going to say this. Jay Kosi, if you live in your own home, you already have an Easy Bake Oven. It's called the Oven. But the next toy here is the Betty Spaghetti.
I don't remember if that one was a 90s toy or that was a 2000s toy, because I remember it was like somewhere in between.
It was 1999.
I just remember... I okay, so it's like barely 90s, but I remember it was like, oh man, you could like clips on her hair and like make all these wacky hairstyles, and it's just like, again, I think it was just also a fad then with that too.
It was.
It's like kind of like what we were seeing with like the Barbie one. It was just like something you kind of did for like 10 seconds.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought when I first saw it, because of the way that it first was, I thought it was a Sailor Moon toy. When I was like,
I thought it was too. Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, Sailor Moon. Next up is the Megazord, aka the freaking Zord from Power Rangers.
Immediate top of the Christmas list.
You wanted this right here.
Voltron.
Next up,
I remember Toys R Us price $79.99, and the one ad I saw.
All right, next up is the Bop It.
This one, your mileage may vary. I love it. It's still one of my favorite toys, but I mean that.
I'd give it an A. I'd give it an A at the very least. It was a fun toy.
I like the A category as well. I'm down with that.
Oh, this one, the baby Algon. When you would feed the baby and then it would poop.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Nightmare Fuel. No, it was Nightmare Fuel because it was just like. It kind of reminds me. They had a commercial like that too, And I remember it was like, okay, put the food in the baby, and you watch it like it was almost like a magnet thing, and then and then the commercials would show you like poop coming out of the baby, and it's like nobody wants to sell you a baby that will actually show poop, replicating poop.
I actually
didn't get
agree.
it when I was a kid. I didn't get it when I was a kid. When I became a father, I didn't get it tenfold. Like it's a terrible, terrible idea.
I'm throwing it in nightmare fuel because that's I don't want to think about digestion when I play it with a toy. Like no,
They had one similar to it where it was like, I think it was another one where it was like the same premise where you feed the kid, but then the kid pees and the pee just goes like all over. I'm like, I don't want to play a game. I don't want to play with a doll that literally just pees whenever.
Can you not?
I have trauma from real children. I have trauma from real children.
Can you not give me responsibilities at the age of 7, please? That's all I ask. This is a nightmare for a 7-year-old. Next up is Don't Wake Daddy.
Nightmare fuel.
Nightmare fuel. I'm sorry. Listen, I get scared at the idea of waking up my dad at like 3 in the morning trying to sneak in for water or the bathroom. I'm like, I gotta use the bathroom. Don't you dare get out of your room at 3 in the morning. I'm like, but I have to pee. It's like, don't you dare. So it's...
In all fairness, I used to do this with my kids. Like, as a parent, I would be listening for my kids getting up in the middle of the night, and if I heard them, then I would like sneak around the corner. I'd be like, "Ah!" So this was real. Like,
I mean, the thing about the Don't Wake Daddy was also just the way the dad woke up. It wasn't even like the dad looked like he was just kind of like a mummy. Like he's just like he's been in sleep for 10,000 years, and you wake him up and the hat just falls off. He's like, what happened? Where am I?
It's a scary thought when you think about it. Just no. Next up is the Tamagotchi.
That is fad. Although they did bring that fad back.
They did.
Now.
Yeah.
It came back now. But I would say it's also, I wasn't on the top of my Christmas list, but I remember it was the top of everybody's. But they ended up banning the Tamagotchi and also the Gigapets, which was the equivalent. Because those were virtual pets you had to like take care of like every 2 minutes, which were a distraction for schools.
Yeah.
It was like the idea is like, oh, the kid has to stop what they're doing. So they straight up banned them.
Yeah, literally, it's as Ricochet say, Tamagotchi is the forefather for Digimon. I didn't have a Tamagotchi, I had a Digimon keychain. So I would have to do all those things for Digimon, and that's actually what made Digimon. Most people are like, oh, they bit off a Pokemon. Like, no, Digimon came from Tamagotchi. Calm down. Calm down, seriously.
I did last year, I bought a Pac-Man Tamagotchi. It was like a similar premise where it's like you take care of a Tamagotchi. But instead, it was like, oh, it has some Pac-Man elements. So like sometimes ghosts will pop out, and you have to press the button so Pac-Man can help aid the Tamagotchi. And it was like, oh,
got a baby pack. Oh,
So-
what's that? Oh my god.
So on my house keys, I have 2 Digivices. I have 2 of them on my keychain, and I always keep them on. I always play with them. I always use them. They're little distractions on the train or on the bus or on an Uber. You name it. They work really well. So I have 2 of these because I like to also trade and battle my stuff too. Because when you have 2 of them, you can connect them together like this. So you just put them together.
Oh my god, Hito!
Boom.
If I had known you back then, we would have had a Digivice battle. I had a Digivice. I remember I had a Digivice, and I remember I used to take care of Agumon like every single day. And then like this one kid in school, he was like, "Wait, you got a Digivice too? Let's battle!" And you're just watching like these 2 kids, and there's like 15 kids huddling around us, watching 2 kids on tiny little screens trying to play a Digivice battle. And I remember, because I was training Agumon a lot more, I remember like he did like a fireball and it knocked out the other Digivice, and the kid got really mad, and everyone was just like cheering me. I'm like,
Oh, no,
I guess I won.
I'm not gonna lie. Since we were in Harlem with these kids, when somebody said, "Oh, they're having a fight," and they're like, "A fight? Yo, let's check out this fight!" Right? And then we looked up, they were so disappointed. They're like, "Wait, they're just fighting with keychains."
But I would say though that the Gigapets though were like the similar ones, but those were like different franchises, because I remember I had a 101 Dalmatians one. My brother had a monkey one. I remember they even at one point had a WCW one. You could take care of your own wrestler. I don't know why. Like, I don't know why the first thing I would think of was, oh yeah, it's morning. Let me go take care of my Sting. Like to go feed him so he could go into the match.
All right, the next one is Crossfire. Crossfire. It's right here. Boom.
I'd say A, but that depends because not everybody knows that one.
Crossfire is really, it's about betrayal in some ways. I'm not even kidding.
That commercial, like I said, that was the thing in the commercials back in the 90s. It was like, oh man, extreme. If we zoom in and out of like all these kids, like with special effects, these kids are having so much fun, then you'll want it too. Like, it's like...
The 90s knew the 90s knew their demographic. Next up is the Sock'em Boppers.
This one's kind of hard. I would say it looked more fun than it actually was because the concept is fun, and then you actually play it with other children, and they were very violent.
I never got to play it, but I'm telling you right now, if I had socket boppers that I could beat my friends and my brothers with, it would never get old. But again, I never got to play it, so I don't know that for sure.
I would say looked more fun than it actually was, because I was one of the people that literally the Sock'em Bopper would just slip out of my wrist, and I'm like, well, I'm dead. I lost.
I straight up decked my friend.
just, I'm in trouble. The G.I. Joes are next. G.I. Joe.
That I would say that went on the top for many kids, but that's if you watch the show.
Yeah.
So if you didn't really see the show with the toys, you wouldn't have understood all the characters. But it was like, oh hey, that was a thing they used to love doing back in the 80s and even also during the 90s. If you take a toy concept and you put it as a TV show and you have like the characters using the gun and the motorcycle and the helicopter, then all the kids will want those same toys they just saw on TV. And so G.I. Joe was from that concept.
And that was brilliant, and I loved G.I. Joe. I loved any of the accessories that you could get for G.I. Joe. I loved the vehicles. Both He-Man and G.I. Joe had that concept, and I was like hands down in love with it. I'm in for it.
Next up are the squishies. The little squishies that had like little water in it. You would just like mess around with it.
Oh, where everybody would keep them in their hands.
Yeah,
and
they'll just jiggle them back and forth. That was okay. So both of us just kind of did a weird hand motion that TOS would probably look at us like, what are they doing?
Very toony.
That's not very toony. TOS, no. Listen, it's.
As soon as they listened to the video, they'd be like, "Oh, I did the same thing," and they would do the exact same motion.
Just okay. So these were a fad.
Buy those in the dollar stores here. So.
Yeah, they're. It sounds like I never had them, but it sounds like something more of a fad. Like the fish moves back and forth and you squeeze it. It's like probably like a 2-minute thing that's fun.
And it had like a little hole in it, so you would just poke it. Wait.
Yeah.
Stop. Okay. Stop. Brain. Brain.
Look at it. It is definitely like the weird feeling of having that water just swishing back and forth. It's like a soothing thing. I'm just saying.
I'm gonna put this under fad because they still sell these in gift stores.
They do, yeah.
Next up is Hungry Hungry Hippos. We're moving on. Hungry Hungry Hippos.
I would say that was one of those things that was way more fun to like than to watch, because you could play it and then after a short period of time it's like, all right, I'm done with this.
Because it was mostly like you were just literally like, oh, you just keep spamming that one little button to try to get it, and eventually your hand would hurt trying to move so the hippo could eat all the balls. Yeah, so I'd say look more fun.
Yeah, I would put that there too.
The commercial made it look more enjoyable than kids would. Knowing kids like nowadays, they would like literally probably just like slam their hand and the balls are flying out. Like, look, the hippo can move outside of the realm. Okay.
Slam the hand. Just keep going. Next up is so I don't know the name of this thing, but I remember it. It's literally you put your hand through it and you get the little pins.
I kind of remember that one.
I have one of those. They're
I don't
amazing.
remember the name of it, but I do remember. Yeah, I do remember this. So it's like where you just like pushing into like the little like peg things or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it makes
Pins that just
motion in your head.
moves, so that way it moves. You'd use it with gravity, so you like hold it down like this, so that way the pegs can all fall into the right place. And when you take it away, there's the exact imprint of your hand. I love these. Kids loved these. Like I think I got my kids this every year because they loved it so much.
Show of hands who use who's used this on their face.
Yes. Okay, there's a science center in Canada where I live, and they have a gigantic one that you could literally walk into whatever position that you wanted to, and then on the other side they would push the pins against you, and then you would walk away, and there would be a mold of you, like a life-size mold of whatever position you were taking. Yeah, so good.
Oh my god. I'm gonna put it under fad because the novelty of it does wear off after a while. After you've used it a while, like, I made a handprint.
Like something you would. It looks like something you more like you'd see in like a museum, like science. Like kids would be like, "Oh man, that's so cool! My hand moves." It's like, but like not as like an actual toy, probably not.
You would, yeah. Well, you wouldn't play with it. You'd like take a face print or a hand print, and then you'd put it on your dresser, and then people would just walk in and see a handprint of you.
You're like, ooh.
Yeah.
Next up is the laser challenge. This was literally just a laser gun.
It's like laser tag.
Yeah.
I had a laser. I had one. I think that might be the same one I had, where it was like it also came with like this little shield thing.
Yep.
And it was like you had to shoot the shield, otherwise they would be eliminated.
It's laser tag.
One, yeah. However, when I grew up with this, I also lived in an apartment. It had very few rooms, so there wasn't a lot of space to run around and hide and defend yourself. I remember at one point when my brothers were like out of ammo, and my brothers would like try to throw the gun. And I'm like, that's foul. You can't do that. That's not part of the rules to throw the gun.
I kind of like Nerf better than I like the laser. You know what I mean?
I mean, this one was a lot.
I like shooting everybody with Nerf guns.
I think the thing about like with laser tag was at least everything was just there. You just needed the space. Nerf was like, okay, if you shoot the gun, but you have to go pick up the bullets because you just shot like 10 of them and you have no idea where the bullets are, and you just spent like $15 on 100 bullets.
Yeah, and I'm down with that. I'm totally down with that. That's good for me. That's good for my soul.
Next up are the walkie-talkies.
I mean that's a
water talkies. My bad.
What is it like? You could like talk. Wait, hold.
You could talk while you're underwater. So in other words, like if you're in the pool, you're like, you just hear from the other side.
I mean that sounds more like a fad, although it does sound like a cool concept. Back in the 90s, if a kid was like, "Oh man, let's dive underwater, let's talk to each other." Oh wait, I can't breathe. Time to go back up.
Thank you.
And you're inaudible as well. Like I don't understand.
Next up was the 90s Street Shark action figures.
Oh, Street Sharks! I remember the show. The Street Sharks were more just because after Ninja Turtles came out, it was like, it was like the in thing to have like, oh man, like animals, like a group of animals, like.
Yeah.
So we admit that this is a fad.
I also remember Biker Mice from Mars. That was also another one that was like the same premise. I did like Street Sharks, but yeah, I do agree it was a fad because it was just cashing in on what Ninja Turtles was doing.
Beanie Babies.
eBay's best friend.
I would say that's also a fad.
Same.
Because they were popular, but within certain groups, right?
I feel like they were only popular because they were like hard to come by. Because like a lot of kids wouldn't really collect them and be like, oh man, I got like 10 of the hardest ones. Let me hold on to them and then keep them for 20 years.
Yeah.
It's not really something
they were big
with.
for collectors because you're right. Like kids would get them and they'd be like, nah, whatever. They throw them in a junk box. You'd find it at a garage sale and you'd be like, this one's worth $300. Good find.
Next up is the Super Hoop. It was a giant hula hoop essentially.
I mean, it very much reminds me of my experience with Skip It. Where it just falls down.
So it looked more fun than it actually was.
Yeah.
Next up, this one's actually my favorite, the Sky Dancers.
Oh, was that the one where it was like the one with like it looked like fairies and it was like
Yeah.
you kind of
You
spin them
pull the
around and they go up in the air?
You pull the string and then they just spin in the air. And okay, so I saw a recent thing of Trixie and Katya going over 90s toys as well, and they did something that I used to do as a kid with another friend of mine, which was I would rip the string and then we'll catch it and then we'll put it on another one and we'll just do like a catch of the Sky Dancers back and forth while we just have them in the air. So I'm like, oh my god, I literally like I used to do that when I was a kid.
I you know what, that for me was just like, again, you can kind of buy the simpler concept of that like anywhere. So for me, it was kind of like, I don't know if it really served a huge purpose. I looked at that as being a little bit of a fad because it's kind of like, you know, getting a top. And then, you know, all of a sudden, what was that game where the two tops would fight each other?
Beyblades.
Beyblades. So it's like a top, and then it's like Beyblades came out, and it's like, hey, it's tops with blades on them. You know, like it's like it's a fad because they already exist. It's not an original concept. They just put some pixie wings on it, and that's the difference.
Yeah, but this came out before Beyblades.
No,
That's
I
the
mean,
way- yeah.
no, I mean, but you can get those
Yeah.
things at the dollar store, right? Where you pull the thing. They've been doing that forever.
Oh no, these fly in the sky. That's why they would literally just like they'll go up in the sky. But yeah, I get what you mean. They have those at the dollar store.
Now and get that one where I can just pull it, and it's
Yeah.
just this propeller that goes up into the air.
Yeah. Next up is Legos. Need I say more? Kids love
Lego, I mean,
Legos.
it's Legos. Although I remember. Although I remember Mega Bloks also came out at that same time, and they were like, "Oh yeah, well Legos came out. Well, guess what? We're gonna do the same thing. We got Ninja Turtles on Mega Bloks. We got all these things that Lego does." And it's like, it got to a point I think where it was like there were so many like Lego knockoff companies that I remember like whenever I would look at like a toy, it would say compatible with other companies' toys because they more or less just do the same thing. It's just connecting them together.
Speaking of which, there's an insult that I always use on this channel whenever I'm fighting a boss, and it's always, your mom bought you Mega Bloks instead of Legos. And it's because of the fact that we used to use that insult in school a lot. Like, there would be this one kid that would talk about Mega Bloks a lot, and I remember this specifically because I stepped on one of the Mega Bloks and he got really, really mad. He's like, oh, yeah, if this was a Lego, you'd probably be crying right now. Next time, watch where you step. I'm like, well, guess what? Your mom bought you Mega Bloks instead of Legos. So how about that? And
it sounds like a Monty Python insult, doesn't it? It's like, your mother bought you Mega Bloks.
It's very funny. Like, we couldn't help ourselves with that joke. And it was one of the more innocent your mama jokes, so it was like, okay, that's fine. It's an innocent one. You can't really get mad at that because it's a fact. She bought me Mega Bloks instead of Legos. I'm okay with this. But now, the next one is Mall Madness. This was a part of the Girl Games, along with Dream
it was
Telephone.
like, I remember it was like you had to go to like different stores and get all the items on like the shopping list, and also talk to boys randomly.
Yeah.
But again, it some cases it reminds me of Mousetrap because it's just like all this shit. Like you have to literally do it. Like nobody really goes to a mall to directly. Oh, like here's my shopping list of direct things. It's just no. They just go to the two stores they want. They get like a hot dog or something. They talk to a boy. And like, okay, I'm done. Mall's over. Mall's over. That's my thought for the day.
Next up is Moon Shoes.
Moon Shoes is a fad. As much as I love Moon Shoes, I loved it. They even had an Arthur episode with it called Moon Boots.
Yeah.
But it was a fad. It was a fad because it's just like it's like, oh man, kids can like jump up in the air for like maybe like slightly higher than I normally would as a human being.
Those would scare me because I'm like, I'm gonna bust my head on something. I can feel it. Next,
Although I do remember when Arthur was like when he was like talking about the moon boots, he's like, and they're called moon boots and they're only $10, and the parents are like, only $10, and I'm like, $10 is a lot for a child.
Yeah, I mean, that is true.
That's a lot of money for
That's a lot of money for a
yeah,
child.
when you're that age, yeah.
But all right, I will say the next one. The next one is Nerf.
Sorry, that's
Nerf
at the top of my
Nerf or
A-list.
nothing.
I literally buy my kids Nerf every Christmas. Nerf, yes. Yes, yes, yes. We take all the action figures that we have, we put them up on like, we take 2 chairs and we put like something that will bridge the gap between those 2 chairs, and then we line up whatever action figures we have, and then we sit behind the couch and we fire at these things for target practice with our Nerf. It's just amazing. Yes, I'm in. I'm in for it.
Oh man. Next up is the see-through N64, which it's an N64.
The color, yeah, the color. I want to say was the top, but you know, it's like back then it was a fad, but now thinking about it, no, it was like it was the cool thing. It was like, because that was back when like Nintendo and also like all the companies were like, oh man, let's make see-through colors. You know, like I still got my Game Boy Color one. You know, it was like the idea of you can see inside
You mean this one?
system and you can see like all the components.
You mean this one? This one right here?
Yeah, wait, I can literally pull it out right now and still. Where is it? Somewhere here.
But
I got a drink. Oh, actually, you know, here it is. Yep.
Yep.
Still got my OG Game Boy one.
Yep, there it is. All right, next up is the glow stick.
That's the fad that just keeps going.
I mean,
I love the glow stick.
The glow sticks aren't really much of a toy. It's like you use glow sticks when you're like going to like a concert.
Yeah.
Or nowadays when you use your smartphone for light, but it was like the idea like, oh hey, get your glow sticks. Yeah, for raves, like get your glow sticks for like $4 for $10. You know, like you're like glowing them, but they end up not lasting. I think they only last like maybe like a couple of hours and then the glow stops.
They're very specific. You know what I mean? Like they're you use them for something very specific and then they're done, right? They're like this disposable fad that occurs whenever you have a purpose for them and then they're gone. They're not something you would put into your toy box and be like, oh my God, I love my glow stick that I broke 3 days ago. Like,
What? What? Okay. I got it. I understand. Yeah, but I put it in fad. Next up is Skip It.
I mean, that game doesn't like me, so.
We got Skip It. Come on, you know, skip it. You gotta get. It has a counter.
It like I understand its purpose. I think is literally so that way people could practice skipping, and if someone didn't have someone to skip with, they could skip independently. So it's more like a practice tool than a toy, I think, because if you had more than one person there, you wouldn't just have a whole bunch of people standing around skipping with this thing. You know what I mean?
I do remember I saw one YouTube video of like 2 guys that were trying to do skip it, and they're like, holy shit, this is a very harmful toy. We're nearly gonna hit people, we're hitting their legs, like the piece could accidentally fall off. I'm like, I consider it more of a dangerous hazard than I would like a toy.
I literally put this on why did they make this as a stupid toy. Like, it was...
Yeah.
I tripped. Like, it was bad. Next up is Operation.
Operation, I would say, like, that to me, I mean, that's not really a 90s toy, but that is a classic of a game, because a lot of, like, people, you know, it's less anxiety-driven than...
Perfection.
Whereas Perfection was more timed. Operation was more about, like, you know, trying to put the piece right in, and it's like, even when it like buzzed, like, you know, like that had the light, it was like not compared to literally the pieces like popping up in your face. And I think eventually,
an anxiety-fueled game though.
Yeah, and I know like eventually on, like later on with Operation, they started making like I think they even made a Buzz Lightyear one, they made a Shrek one, they made like different characters you would go through. I would say more of a classic. More like something, not really. I wouldn't call it a fad, but like just like something like kids would play, like if they saw it.
I might not even play it, but at the same time, I can respect it because it's like classic. You know what I mean?
The girl's secret decoder. I'm not even kidding. This was a thing.
You decode girls with that, or
all right? Where's the USB-C port? I'm gonna hack it. I'm gonna hack into it.
This was like, okay, so this was essentially like a little gadget where Girls would type in little messages. They would be matching hearts, etc. It was kind of like a love thing. It was a fad.
Yeah.
It was
a fad.
It was
Yeah.
a super
We're gonna
fad.
call that a fad.
Next up, Pogs.
But
I never got into Pogs, so I'm just like, why?
As much as I loved Pogs, and I still do, it's one of my favorites. It was a fad, sadly, because how many people still know what Pogs are?
Yeah, and I was like, it was just something to replace marbles. Like someone just cashed in on an extra game that had the same principles as marbles. It was just, instead of being round and rolly, they were flat and slammy. Like
Flat and slammy. Okay, that's a new one.
Flat and slammy.
That's a good term to use.
Yeah. I say what I say. No takebacks.
I said what I said. Next up, okay. So next up is the Tecmo Dog. These were fun.
Oh,
yeah,
I forgot. It was like
It was Robo Pup or Robo Dog. It was something like that.
Yeah. I like the concept. I think it's adorable. Couldn't you like plug in, like it had a jack, couldn't it? So
Yeah, it had.
No, I think that was but I think it might have been a different dog.
Yeah, that was a
The
different
one you're
dog.
thinking. Yeah,
It
but
didn't have a
RoboPup,
jack. I'm not here for it.
RoboPup, I would say, is more like the Furby. It was like the futuristic Furby.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as annoying. It wasn't as annoying though.
Or
it
scary
wasn't gonna
looking.
literally wake you up at like 2:00 in the morning and start barking. Like it would actually, like if you wanted to turn it off, and it wouldn't start randomly playing noises. It was cute for what it was. But it depends. I mean, like either kids, like I would say it was a cute toy for what it was doing.
I would
not annoying, not as annoying as Furbies.
Yeah.
Fair.
Next up is Silly Putty.
I really like Silly Putty. I don't like my kids having it, but I liked it as a kid. I love that it could contour to anything. I would put that on my A list, to be honest. It was just so fun to play with. I don't know why.
I would say it looked more fun because it's just like it was just or even just say because it's similar operation. It's just it's a classic.
Silly
Putty, something you enjoy. You just enjoy and you play with. I wouldn't call it a fad because they still do make them and kids still do like them.
Funny enough, I still like Silly Putty because of the fact of when you could smear it on a newspaper and you could just stretch out the faces, and you just stretch out. That was fun. I used to make Garfield fatter than he was. I was just like, we have Garfield and then we have big Garfield, and they're like, what are you doing?
Yes.
Next up is the Power Ranger action figures, not the Zoids, the action figures.
That to me goes up there with the Megazords because it's like you couldn't. But as a Power Rangers fan, you couldn't just have the one toy. You had to have the whole team. You had to have all the characters and the villains and all Rita's monsters. All
right, guys, we're down to the last 20 toys. You ready for this? So this this was the draw bear, where you would draw on the bear and then you throw it in the washing machine and it cleans it up.
Is that Draw Bear or Doodle Bear?
Doodle bear. There you go.
Okay, Doodle Bear.
Yeah, my cousin had this.
This was an A, by the way, for me.
That was the toy of the year for Christmas. I remember Mrs. Super talking about this. She wanted it. The family wasn't able to get it for her because they were all sold out. So they literally got a teddy bear and they gave her a marker and they were like, it's Doodle Bear. But yeah, it was cool. I liked it. I liked the idea and the concept.
Next up, Nickelodeon slap bracelets.
Were these the
Yes,
and then they would just wrap around you?
Yes.
Total fad. Like, I would say 100% fad, but also I don't think they'll ever really go out of style. Like I think they're just gonna keep coming back.
They still make them because I don't think it's Nickelodeon specific. Because they I remember like even as young as like I think like 6 or 7, like they had those, but it's just different. Like I think it's just more. I would say it's more of a fad, but like kids will still get it anywhere and be like, oh man, slap. Okay, I'm done. Like just like that 5-minute excitement of things.
Yeah.
Next up is Slinkies.
Slinkies.
Again, I feel like those ones are more. They look more fun than they are.
Yeah.
They're like again really great for that first half hour. Sometimes not even that. And then it's like, all right, that goes on my shelf.
I actually agree with that because
Although Slinkies do get stuck eventually.
that too.
That was always really annoying. I get.
Next up, Spice Girls dolls.
Oh my god.
The Spice Girls.
I still have mine.
Hito, you don't know how much of a big Spice Girls fan I was. My mom and my brothers, because I remember we used to have if you remember Chupa Chups, the lollipops.
Yeah.
My brothers and I used to go into a competition where it was like, oh, you had to get all the stickers because in each one contained a sticker, and my brothers and I was always like, oh yeah, well I'm gonna get all 40 Spice Girls stickers, and then I'm gonna be the true fan. And my mom was like, you want the Spice Girls too? I'm like, I need to have Spice Girls everything. I need the PlayStation game. I need the movie. We never had any of this, but it was just like, I will say, well, it was at the top of my list, but I never got them.
So I never got these. And Super, you said you had these at one point?
I wouldn't even understand. They were like, it's like getting it's like getting One Direction dolls. I don't understand it. Yeah.
I think it's just having those those groups. It's like, oh hey, I have the dolls of the characters.
Yeah, that is definitely a fad at the most. That's the most credit I would give it in my life.
So next up is the Super Soaker.
A.
Are
you kidding? Everybody in their
being
dog
able to shoot your friends with water and surprise them is like literally the best thing ever.
And you
it's
always
better
wanted
than water
the
balloons
more
because you literally have the
powerful one.
yeah. It was like, no, you couldn't just have the small water gun. No, you had to have the one that Toys R Us that had with the Super Soaker. It was just it would come with 3 different blasts, and you could just blow your friend away into another continent.
And then they had the knockoffs, which whenever you pulled this down, it would shoot instead of build up the pressure like the Super Stoker. So it was like you'd be hanging out with people, and if they had the knockoff, I had the knockoff. I was that kid. I had the knockoff where I was like, psh, psh, right? My friend would just be like, not firing, just powering it up, and I'm like, oh, I'm getting as much as I can in, and then it's just one straight stream for 5 minutes practically, and yeah, no, they kill you. It's done. I wanted the Super Soaker so bad.
Next up is what we saw earlier, the Talk Boy.
Ugh, such a fad. That came and went.
It was a fad, but it was I would put looked more fun.
It looked more
because of the idea. Oh, hey, it's secret. It's a secret, cassette recorder, but it's that concept would not exist now.
Well, and it literally they had things. It was called a voice recorder.
I still had one. It was a cassette recorder. Yeah.
It was not a unique item.
Yeah.
It was literally because he had it in the movie and they used it in the movie. I didn't know a single person that had that item.
All right, so y'all can agree with me that Tickle Me Elmo belongs in Nightmare Fuel.
Yes.
No,
it goes all the way.
It's on my
A-list. Below.
What?
No. Tickle Me Elmo goes below Nightmare to the depths of hell. It just his laugh can go down there forever.
Tickle Me Elmo and Bounty. I forget what the Tigger version was, but that one they were both on my A list. You guys can put them anywhere. But for me, I wanted Tickle Me Elmo and I wanted the Bouncy Tigger. They were my 2 things from my childhood I never got.
Super, you're very brave.
If I had it now, I would put Tickle Me Elmo behind me. That's all I got to say.
Super, you're very brave. You're very brave. Hey, look, it's a Tigers LCD game, Aladdin specifically.
Oh,
I see. I want to put this either between why is this a toy and then a fad, because it's kind of more in between. It was a fad because it was meant for kids who couldn't afford a Game Boy or other portable systems. Oh, so hey, you spend $20 and you get your favorite franchise, on a little screen. But then you realize, no, the games aren't very good because there's just not a lot to do with them.
It looked more fun.
Actually, if I don't have them with me, but I still remember if you tilted them towards a light, you could actually see all the little animations on the screen, showcasing how very flawed it is. It's just there was not much depth to it.
I would definitely put it as looked more fun than it actually was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because the commercials would be like, you'll get your favorite franchises here today, right now, and then when you play it, you're like,
It's the same game.
Yeah.
It's like the same game over and over again. Just they capitalize on whatever they want to put on the cover, right?
Yeah. Next up is the sticky ball and paddle.
That's 100% for me. I played sticky ball for hours with anybody that would play. It is like it's so fun.
I actually
It's
had fun
so
with it. I actually had fun with it.
I was bad at that game. I would throw the ball up in the air, and instead of reaching on the sticky part, it would just fall down. I'm like, well, now I just broke the concept of the game, you know?
It won't stick for me, Mom.
Next up is the Sega Dreamcast.
Never played.
See, for me that's an A, but Dreamcast didn't get appreciated until after Sega went third party. So I would say that to me would be more A.
That was an A
it's
for
like
me.
something like it's kind of like it because Sega had like a lot of good ideas of the Dreamcast. Like they had like internet and like 4 players and the little VMU, but its problem was the PlayStation 2 got announced and it's like, well, if it's coming out, why buy a Dreamcast at that point?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so my next one is I forgot to turn this part off because I was just checking my bit rate for a second. I was like, am I stuttering? Are we stuttering? Okay, we're not stuttering.
No, you're
okay,
good.
we're good. All right.
Although now I don't see anything.
Yeah, I just fixed that. I'm a dummy. I did the dumb thing. Hold on a sec. New Bear technology, guys. New Bear technology. It's fine. Next up is Thin Ice. This was another game where you would have to basically avoid breaking the ice.
Wasn't that like a little bit different? It wasn't that that hammer pokey one. It was literally horizontal, and it was like the pressure of having all the ice cubes tight together, and then you had to poke the ice cubes through.
Yep.
And until somehow the pressure cross hatching would just release, and I think I had this game. I did enjoy it.
Because I didn't distinctly remember when you said the name, but I'm looking up at pictures like, okay, now I remember. Yeah, this was the one like you had to the balls go down and then you had to pick one up, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really have much experience with that one because I never really encountered. I do remember a commercial for it, and that was about it.
It looked more fun than it actually was because it also would cause me anxiety. So I'd be like,
yeah.
Now this one is Crocodile Dentist, and I'm putting this in Nightmare Fuel because the second you pull the wrong tooth, it bites you.
Down with that. Down with that. Down with the Nightmare Fuel.
And same thing with Dream Phone. That was Nightmare Fuel too.
Just stalk your crush. How'd you get my phone number?
Yeah.
Like
a little intense.
Next up is Kerplunk, and I would put that at A. Kerplunk was fun.
It was. I'm down with Kerplunk for being A for sure.
What about you, CTK?
See, that one I don't remember either. So like I'll take your word for with it.
And then we have Guess Who?
I would call that like top of the Christmas list. Like even now,
I actually got it for
so
Christmas.
Easy. Yeah.
I actually got it for
literally
Christmas.
pull it out of the package. You don't need a whole bunch of pieces to it. You literally just pull it out. You could play it with your kids, grandkids. As a kid, you could play with your friends, and then it just folds up and puts it back in. It's literally the easiest game, and it's like it makes you think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next up is the Sony PlayStation.
That was the top of the list.
Yeah.
If not, it was like the top of the list. I mean, it was like one of the best-selling systems of all time.
Let's be honest. Super Nintendo was also a top of the Christmas list.
Super Nintendo
Basically,
as well.
if you saw a video game system on your Sunday newspaper commercial, you knew it was the top of the list. You knew you were bothering all the other kids. Hey, guess what?
So we're also putting the Game Boys up as well because
Is it the Game Boy and the Color? Is that what the two?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
The Game Boy Pocket. Yeah.
The Game Boy was actually an '80s toy, and then the
Yeah.
Game Boy Color came out in the '90s.
And also Virtual Boy was top of the list because at that point I did play Virtual Boy, but then playing the Virtual Boy.
No. That goes to why did they make this stupid toy? Because the concept of VR, like the concept was great. Like, oh man, you got like 3D, but when you actually put the thing on, it was a headache because if you had it for like a more than a duration of time, it would literally cause eye damage. I remember I remember
they
I
actually
tried it out when I
recalled
was
that and stopped making
Yep.
it.
I remember I
because-
tried it when I was like 5 years old. I remember like I remember some adult had to help put the helmet on for me, and I had to immediately tell them take it off, because I would just see like constant red, like all red in my face, and it's like no, it was again good concept, but far too ahead of its time to when the 90s could not do that type of technology.
It was bad. I liked the game. I spoke about this during the Forgotten Series podcast, but literally I like the Virtual Boys games. I just don't like the concept and delivery of how to play them. If we had those games remastered in some way where we can enjoy them without the splitting headaches, I think we'll be fine. Like
minus the migraines.
Yeah. So here's our tier list on all the stuff that we just did, including adding 2 new tiers called Nightmare Fuel and Fad.
I think those were good list choices because I think there was some in there that just needed to be identified.
Yep. Definitely. But I miss all of these toys as a kid. They really did bring back a lot of memories, including the Puppo, the tech pup. It was really good. I'm hoping, if anything, well, I feel old right now with looking at all this stuff, but I'm not complaining. These were childhood. I enjoyed these. I probably still enjoy these if I had these still. And that's my final take on it. Your final thoughts, guys? Oh!
I mean...
Oh. G1 Tanner, thank you for the rate of 10! Oh my god. I think we can put on a little bit more commercials just for the nostalgia. G1 Tanner, thank you so much for the raid. I appreciate that. Thank you for trusting your community with me. But we just got to the near end of it. We just finished our playlist right here. We pulled off a crazy playlist of playlist. Did I say playlist? I'm thinking about music, guys. Tier list of all the oldest toys in the 90s that we've played. And Dream Phone is actually still disturbing as heck right now. Because, let's face it, you're going to talk to cute boys on the phone. Stalk your crush, Doug.
And on top of that, it's a group of girls that somehow got their crush's phone numbers and are literally trying to depict, okay, well, where do we get the phone numbers? Oh, we use like this whole conspiracy theory. We have a whole chart. We're gonna figure out which boy likes you. How did you get this number?
Exactly.
I think the cool thing about the A-list is that, like, looking at the A-list now, that is an A-list for, like, at the time. And aside from, you know, maybe 1 or 2 of those are still somewhat A-listers now. You know, like, they've stood the test of time. They might not be expensive to make anymore, and so you can find them at like the dollar store or something like that. But they're still around.
Squeeze bad guys with my wrestling move. My name is Angus. Customer.
Oh my god!
Stone Protectors.
I remember these. My brother had them.
Wait, aren't these just trolls?
No, they're kind of like trolls.
It was like troll action figures, and I remember my brothers had these. I used to get so freaked out of these toys.
It's like, what would happen if trolls fell into the same ooze as the Ninja Turtles? That's what they would look like.
I will bring up one failed concept of similar to the Virtual Boy. Look up game.com, and it's literally, they call it Gamecom, but it's like it's what would happen if everything we have now was back in 1997, and you could probably guess how much of a disaster this was.
But guys, let's hear your final thoughts on everything that we discussed here. We're gonna start with Super this time.
I don't like, you know, I think everything that we talked about today, I mean, there's some things that we unanimously agreed upon, but I think it's really like everything is about our own experiences that we have. And the funny thing about it, nostalgia, is that it's a combination of things that we experienced and things that we wish we experienced. And so I think I really enjoyed those moments whenever we didn't agree on something, you know, because what we were actually saying is it means something different to you than it means to me. And I think that's cool. I think it would be cool to see what the next generation, what doing this means to them. But I mean, there was definitely things that were powerful, and I think there were some things revealed today that I had completely forgot about. That was kind of actually cool to think about again. And then there was some things that I just better left in the past.
Furbies, just leave them there, keep them there, put it in.
Yeah.
Why is the Furby in a cage? Because it growled at me.
Yeah. Yeah.
CTK, you're up.
So for me, I mean, like, I owe a lot to these toys because it is still the reason why I still collect toys to these days. I still have been collecting. I never stopped. I still go to even back when Toys R Us was still alive, I used to go there every single week, and I would like, oh man, let me check out every section, the action figures and the games and stuff. And I think it's just one thing I noticed with a lot of the promotion of like these 90s toys is that everything was like in your face. It was like this idea like we got to make everything extreme and like hardcore to make it look cool for the kids to like really want those toys. But looking back at like some of these, a lot of them didn't age well because of that extreme phase dying out now. Like if kids want toys, they can just simply look at the box and see, oh, hey, you know, this may be what they like. Now it's like you didn't have the commercials anymore, or you even now have like you know, commercials on your phone on like YouTube to watch those toys now. But I do owe a lot to the 90s toys for at least inspiring me to get into one of my favorite hobbies, to at least, you know, like try all these different wacky, different concepts of toys that we had back then. I mean, it's still, but honestly, Tickle Me Elmo, you can just go down in depths of hell forever. I don't even know if my mom still even has that Tickle Me Elmo.
I'd be willing to bypass the Tickle Me Elmo for the Tigger. I don't even know what the Tigger doll was called, but if I had a choice, just because the other one is not as socially acceptable, I would still get the bouncy Tigger, whatever that is.
I mean, I don't blame it. That's a very scary toy sometimes. It just laughs in the background. I could imagine Super just having it in the background of his stream setup right here, and it just randomly starts laughing. Nothing has happened. All you hear is
that's why it's a scary toy, because it just starts laughing out of nowhere. So you can just imagine as a child when you're just walking through and you hear, oh boy, that tickles, and he's laughing, and you just want to like run away.
It could be a channel point redemption. It's like that Tickle Me Elmo doll.
God.
You know what? for like a horror streamer, right? Tickle Me Elmo.
Oh, that's terrible. Oh God. You know what? We gotta get Super to we gotta get Super to Tickle Me Elmo, and then he has to play a horror game while it's happening, and then it just randomly goes off in the background.
Or we could play Dead by Daylight together, and I would be like, Elmo like to play, and I would just do that the entire time when I'm walking around, you know, killing people.
Oh my God. All right. So my final thoughts on this is I got to relive some toys. I'm crying a little bit. I feel a little old. Just a little bit. But I kind of want to still test out some of these toys. And I would love to get another Virtual Boy just for collector's sprite. Just for a collector's sprite. Like, I have the Virtual Boy, guys. You want to play Mario Clash? Do we have to put our heads in it? You have to put your heads in it. That's how it goes. I'm going to call it exactly what I called it. It is a red Oculus Rift. It is a prehistoric Oculus Rift. That's all I gotta say. That's what it is. It's a prehistoric Oculus Rift. That's what we're calling it. That's all it is. But we are going to send the love to somebody, and I want to send it to this person because they just hit partner, and I want to celebrate with them.
Oh, that's awesome.
Her name is Jahara J. She's playing some Final Fantasy 14 right now, and I think, if anything, bringing the party her way, since she just hit partner, I think that would be a great time. So, as always, this is Hito Retro Gaming, giving you guys the 8-bit love. So, 8-bit love, everyone. Have an awesome rest of your day, and let's give Jahara J some love, shall we? All right. So let me see right now. Let's get the raid command for it ready. Can you stop glitching on me, OBS? Thank you. Thank you. You're participating, OBS. This is all I could ask for. Ever have that conversation with OBS where it's like, you're participating. Thank you. I appreciate this. Let's see. And it is the correct target. It's the correct target. Perfect. All right, guys. So here's the raid command if you guys are not subscribers. And if you are subscribers, here is a special one for you guys to have with our emotes. So let's do it. All right. 8-bit love to everyone. Bye, guys.
Take care, people.